fights with passion, and he inspires.
Are you ready for a war?
All right, welcome back to From 8 Arbitration after a hell of a week. It's been a hell of a week. But what we're going to do today is it's going to be an extra long episode. I'm going to have the Wolf, Mr. James Henry. I'm going to have Mr. Richie Ray. And then I'm going to be at the end of it, and I'm going to give my 2 cents on everything that's happened. All right? So you're going to have James Henry, Mr. Richie Ray, and then I'm going to be at the end of this thing, and we're going to talk a good while just about my 2 cents, my opinion, okay? And so here you go, Mr. James Henry first, all right? I'll talk to y'all on the other side of it. Bye. All right, welcome back to From 8 Arbitration. I got the man himself, the next president of the NALC, the Wolf, Mr. James Henry. There's your intro. And so your title keeps growing, baby. So
I hear you, brother. Ain't nothing
I
wrong with
got
speaking things into existence.
hey, we're trying. Hey, I got my man on today. He wanted to come on and talk about just a few things. And so I said, hey, brother, anytime you want to come on, man, it's all yours. So, Brother Henry, it's all yours, my man. Always a privilege to have you on. We talk daily, a long time every day, but I love giving you an opportunity to come on and talk to your people. And so it's all yours, brother. Whatever you want to talk about, it's yours. All right.
Yeah. Well, first of all, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to any and everyone that when you listen to this podcast, it is always a pleasure to come on, brother, and it's good to see you and be able to address our people. One of the things that I want to make sure that we understand, first and foremost, I consider myself and am, you are, and everyone that is signed at 1187 are members of the NALC, the National Association of Letter Carriers. I often have said in my most recent speeches as I've traveled the country that it does not matter what branch you are from. It doesn't matter what that number is. What precedes every number in this entire great union is the acronym NALC, the National Association of Letter Carriers. So we should not ever get it twisted. It doesn't matter whether you affiliate yourself with the CLC, you affiliate yourself with BFN, or any other organization of interest that's attempting to reform this union. We are the NALC at our very core. Full stop. And I make no equivocation about that. And so I want everyone to understand that this is not a separation, but in fact, a call for unity and solidarity. My article that's coming out here for the March article is United We Stand. And the last 2 words in the last sentence in there is United We Stand, empowered we thrive. When we are empowered, we thrive as a union. When the people, when the membership is empowered, we thrive as a union. Now, the thing that's going on now here is that there are those that may be looking for and hoping for some type of division, so to speak, or divisiveness. That is not what I am or anyone that's associated with me is about. I do believe that you can reform and stand in solidarity at the same time. But here's the real deal, brother, is that it doesn't matter if you got a D in front of your name, as far as your political affiliation, an R in front of your name, or an I. What matters here is that when there's a common threat, that we're going to stand shoulder to shoulder and fight and make sure that we defeat that common enemy. And anyone that comes after the Postal Service, it doesn't matter whether or not I voted for them or you voted for them. What we have here is a common enemy that is attempting to destroy our way of life, that's trying to destroy our organization, trying to destroy the United States Postal Service. And that is something that cannot stand. We've heard in most recent days here that Donald Trump is planning to take control of the United States Postal Service after firing the entire Postal Board of Governors and placing the agency under the control of the Commerce Department. The Postal Board of Governors cannot be legally dismissed without cause. Now, we got to keep in mind that this threat that seemingly is looming out there, and to be credible, has been underscored by the fact that the Postal Board of Governors attained legal representation. Trump's attempt to override the system is an illegal takeover and threatens the mail-in voting, veterans' jobs, and the public's ability to receive affordable mail service. This comes just as days after Postmaster General Louis DeJoy announced his resignation. Beyond delivering the mail, the United States Postal Service is also one of the largest employers in the country, with over 635,000 workers, including nearly 100,000 military members and veterans in the workforce. Privatization would put those jobs at risk. Those jobs that I speak of is our jobs. We cannot stand by and allow someone to come in and disrupt all the history providing this service to our American people. The fact of the matter is here is that we have to separate the man from the mission. There are some that may say that they have disdain for our national president, may have disdain for me, may have disdain for any other, some of the MBAs or anyone else, the executive board. That very well may be the case. We know that that's a fact, that everyone doesn't always agree with what you say and do. But what we can and we should agree upon is that this is a issue and a matter that is worth fighting for. You heard me say earlier on when we were talking about in most recent past months about the tentative agreement, that the reason I took the stand that I took is, and a lot of tens of thousands of other letter carriers and leaders in this organization took the stand that they took, is because they believe that there are certain things that are right, worth fighting for. This here is chief among them. Fighting for the survival of the United States Postal Service, fighting for the survival of our livelihoods, fighting for the rights of our citizens to receive affordable mail delivery services that provide all sorts of benefits to them. We also talk about the delivery of senior citizens medication. We talk about all the other things that bring sense of joy. A high school student graduating, receiving notification that they've been accepted into a college. Go from one end of extreme or one end of the spectrum to the other. But the bottom line is here is that I need for everyone to understand is that there's plenty of time for us to have our differences. But the one thing that we have now and that we all should unite behind and for is because the preservation of the Postal Service and stave off the dismantling of the Postal Service by this attempt by this administration. Again, it does not matter whether or not you voted for Donald Trump or in favor of him. Those things are irrelevant. What is relevant is that we have a common enemy that impacts each and every one of us and does so on an adverse sense, and we cannot stand by. So whether or not it is anyone from the NLC. This coming Monday, tomorrow, we're going to have a rally out there. I'll be standing there definitely cheering on every effort to preserve the Postal Service, cheering on every effort to make sure that letter carriers can wake up and have a job that they know and have come to learn and love over the years, that they know that they'll have a check coming in to provide for their family, that they know that they can go down to their medical provider and that those benefits are going to be honored. The reality of it is here, all of those things that we have taken for granted are at stake. But here's the good news, brothers and sisters, is that we as an organization, meaning the NALC, along with other labor unions, and along with even our patrons, our customers, people that's going to stand with us and say that this is unacceptable, that they love the Postal Service and that we love one another, are going to join in and going to have our backs, and we're going to have their backs. It doesn't matter who's leading. It doesn't matter who may think that they're going to get a feather in their cap. That doesn't matter at all. We all need to play our part and make sure that we are active, that we're strong and consistent in our actions, making sure that the letter carriers, the Postal Service as a whole, understand that. Because being in a situation of not knowing what's to become of you promotes fear, promotes anxiety. But I encourage each and every one of us to stand poised, to be poised, because it has been presented in some instances as if you're going to wake up tomorrow and the doors of the post office is going to be closed and no one is going to be able to show up in case and deliver mail or process mail and things of that nature. You know, anything is possible, but it is not probable. It is not probable, brothers and sisters, that you're going to wake up in the morning and there's going to be a padlock on the post office. So we need to take a deep breath and we need to be able to respond to this threat, not react, but respond. And this is what the NALC as a whole is doing, is responding. And I applaud all efforts from the national level down to the local level, every part that everyone plays to make sure that we get the message out that this is unacceptable to attempt to dismantle the Postal Service, and every effort that we are taking in a tangible sense, from dealing with the informational rallies down to contacting our congressmen, our representatives, and making them aware that you need to step up and do something about that. You need to support us. This institution is exceedingly important to the American people, not just to the individuals that's employed by the Postal Service, but to the very essence of this country. The Postal Service has been around before the first Declaration of Independence. We are America at its finest. And we have to make sure that, again, we have representatives. And I know that come Monday, that we're going to have this rally that's sponsored and headed up by the NLC at the national level. Wonderful, great, continue to do so. And us individuals can also work in concert with any and all efforts as the NLC. So I encourage everyone that can, anyone and everyone that can, come to the rally, come tomorrow on Monday at 1 p.m. in Washington, D.C. In addition to that, on Wednesday, we're calling for a lunchtime call to your Congress. Every letter carrier, whenever you take your lunch, make sure that you take the opportunity to call your congressman and implore them to make sure that they stand with us in protecting the Postal Service as a whole. Not only did they stand for us, but they stand with us, that they get into the fight, that they get into the arena with us, because this will be a long battle. It will be, if in fact what is proposed by the President of the United States manifests itself. But in the interim, again, I encourage everyone to be poised during this time and know that the NALC and everyone that supports the NALC fighting on your behalf. I often say here, not only will I fight for you, we will fight with you. And I believe that to be the case with every ounce of my being, with every letter carrier in this country, every officer at the NLC that's a member of the NLC, that we will this common cause in preserving and fighting for the letter carriers and for the Postal Service in general.
Yeah, I love that, because like you say, and Brian Renfro is not the NALC. The National Association of Letter Carriers is all of us. And so, when you see this existential threat, you whatever you think, about it, about the announcement, because I believe, like most people, the Postal Service is run terribly. I think we're managed terribly. So you have an individual say what he said, and I'm all for getting in those books. I've been saying it. I thought we should have done it in this arbitration process. Now it don't look like it with this expedited arbitration. Get in those books and let's figure stuff out. Let's see where all this money's going that we're making. I'm all for that. But when you said the word looming, what if it doesn't stop there? What if you get in those books? What if it doesn't stop there? And that's why tomorrow is so important, because what if it doesn't stop there? What if it doesn't stop at you just getting in those books and saying, hey, management's the issue here. We need to get rid of a lot of management. We need to kind of streamline this and that. And now you are fixed. That sounds great. But what if it doesn't stop there? A lot of people are worried. A lot of people are concerned. And so tomorrow starts kind of that we're going on the offensive. You're a military guy.
Absolutely. Let me share this with you here.
Yeah.
That, to your point, brother, that is the antidote. The antidote is the activation and the mounting of every single letter carrier and everyone that we can bring along with us, including those that's not employed by the Postal Service, meaning your friends, your family members. And again, you pointed out so aptly here is that the union is not me. A lot of folks look around and say, well, what is the NLC doing? What is the NBA doing? What is the CLC doing? What is BFN is doing? Well, brothers and sisters, the union is not those that are on 100 Indiana Avenue Northwest, Washington, D.C. The union is not me. The union is not you, Corey. It is not the NBA. It's not your branch president. It's not your shop steward. It is each and every rank and file letter carrier that is a member of this union. And each and every single one of us have an obligation to do our part. And some have greater responsibilities, to lead, but all of us have a responsibility to be a participant, to be a part of. Now, the fact of the matter is that you say, yes, we pay our union dues. Absolutely. This is why strategies and this is why activities are out there and are encouraged for everyone to come about in participating in it. But I cannot stress enough is that each one reach one to participate in this fight. Be active yourself. This is how you exercise influence. You or the national president or anyone else in leadership can walk over to the halls of Congress, but what makes the difference is when they hear from their constituents. That's what makes the difference. That makes the difference when they hear from the people. And the reality of it is here is that, yes, you have this expedited situation. There's a whole lot of who shot Johns, and there is some validity to some of that. It doesn't change the fact that at this point, we don't need to uh, spend a lot of time about how the milk got spilled, but how do we clean it up? That's what we need to do at this particular point in time. There's plenty of time for accountability, but we can reform and stand in solidarity at the same time. Because the reality of it is here is that all the things that's going on is going to require our our attention, our directed attention is going to require all of our efforts to be able to defeat this threat that is at our doorsteps at this particular point in time. So, I understand all about wanting to hold people accountable and stuff like that, but here is where we at. It may not be pleasant to hear, and it may not be, a situation where folks can purely always compute at the onset, but we are in a situation where we have to make the best out of a bad situation or unfavorable situation. This has been brought to our doorstep, and there are very few options that we have. I am of the opinion that our letter carriers have waited a long time to get what is coming to them. There is nothing that prevents the national president. He has the authority to make whatever decisions he wants as relates to the strategies and going forward on our arbitration. Constitution gives him that authority. Hopefully, we in a situation or a scenario where everything that the letter carriers ask for is asked for in arbitration. But here's the bottom line is that there are circumstances and things that has occurred over the period of time that has brought us to this particular point in time where we at in this particular scenario, and we have to make the best out of that. And one means to that end is being able to join together and defeat this threat, and then we can seek whatever accountabilities that we may want to later on to ensure that we're not here again and not be living Groundhog Day, the same scenario and situation over and over again. But the present moment in time, we have to be NALC members at its very core.
Yes. Perfectly said. Because, like I was saying, James, I've been one of the biggest proponents of getting in those books. I want in management's books. We can't be that incompetent at the top to be losing billions. Get in those books. We're federal, and so I would encourage that. But like I said, what happens if it doesn't stop there? When you said looming, and you're a military guy, and so what you do is what we can do. Those individuals that are nervous and scared, and rightfully so, like I was talking with Charlie, I don't worry, I don't stress. I don't know why. It's just I have never worried about anything. I don't ever stress because worry and stress has never paid a bill. And so I just don't do it. And I think about things. You and I immediately talked to each other, when all this shit was going down. Uh, we called and we were talking, and you're like, hey, we're going to do a day of action. We came up with Wednesday. I said noon, and you had a much better idea. You said, hey, let's do it at lunchtime because we don't want carriers getting in trouble for stopping at noon. And you have a stationary event, and then you got to explain, well, I was calling congressman to save your job, supervisor, and your job, manager. And so we made it a lunchtime call to action. And so that's what it's going to be. It's the CLC in conjunction with the From Arbitration community. And y'all are going to have something come out tomorrow. You're going to put it up. The template that everyone will use will come out Tuesday. Those things have been put together. They're going to be beautiful for everybody to have. It'll be very easily accessible. And then we'll have a website where you can put in your zip code or your number, and it'll say what congressmen and senators are yours. And at lunch, you're going to make those phone calls. And so you have to have overwhelming response to any kind of threat. And that's as a military man, you know what I'm talking about. You have to have an overwhelming response, and that starts tomorrow. Anybody who can't make it, everybody can't get to Washington. And so if you can't, Wednesday will be your day. And I think that it has the potential to be the biggest thing the NALC has done. And so I know that heavy players at every level are involved, even with management, because their jobs are at stake more than our jobs are at stake. To me, I feel that way. But it's going to be an overwhelming response to what some consider, like I said, an existential threat. And so whatever happens, if it is just getting those books and we'll see y'all later, okay, we still have that response. But if it is something like we was talking about, if it is more than that, we're going to meet any and all attempts with an overwhelming response. And so I think that's what's going to happen. Tomorrow is going to be a good day for the uh, city letter carrier, because your union is going to be out there with others fighting on our behalf. And then Wednesday, the city letter carrier is going to get involved big time as far as this lunchtime call to action. And we'll talk more about that probably tomorrow when when the CLC puts out what's going to happen. But yeah, I think it's a perfect response for those. You saw a lot of angst and anxiety Friday on social media. And I'm going to talk about that on my episode after me and you, James. But this is your opportunity to get involved with that and say, hey, I was nervous. I was scared, didn't know what to do. And so here's an avenue. We're going to call our congressmen and senators, and we're going to defend ourselves. When you talk about the city letter carrier standing up, we stood up on this TA vote big time. We're going to stand up again Wednesday because that's the fighting spirit of the city letter carrier. We're worried about our jobs. We're going to fight for our jobs, and that's going to happen Wednesday.
I want to make sure that everyone that's listening to this is very clear on this here. This is not intended to be separate and apart, but in concert with the NALC, because we are, again, NALC members. So I encourage not only just letter carriers, but every leader from our national president to each NBA, RAAs, RGAs, RWCAs, ROAs, down to the shop stewards, alternate shop stewards, every brand new 2-day CCA. Get on the phone and call your congressman or your representative, whether it's your senators and your House representatives, every one of them. It is something that I do not want anyone to be lost on, is that we are rooting for the advancement and the preservation of this organization, meaning the Postal Service, and our people as a whole. We could not be true unionists at heart if we did not believe in supporting what is in the best interest of us, meaning postal employees, the Postal Service as a whole, not just the right here and now, but for it to exist for our children, our children's children, our children's children's children. Everybody. There is nothing like having your own. You have all these private organizations such as the UPS and FedExes and DHLs and things of that nature that is profit driven. We are in a situation where everyone who we work with, every American is guaranteed mail at a universal price. That is something that people may and have taken for granted for years, decades, maybe even centuries now, because it's always been there. And this is a prime example that you cannot take anything for granted. You know, the NALC is a family. Union is a family. And we're calling on all of our other families to stand because the Postal Service as a whole is a family. I mean, Corey, you may be able to, you have siblings, do you not?
Yes.
You can call your brother a fathead. You and him, or your brothers, y'all can wrestle all over the floor. But the very moment that somebody that's outside the Walton family come in, you go say, hold up, I can call him a fathead, but you can't.
Yeah.
We're gonna band together. People wondering, well, they didn't turn on me. I'm just trying to help you. But you know, you don't get to do that because
Yeah.
you're not the Waltons, right? What am I saying here? Even though it's kind of funny in a sense, but everybody can relate to what I'm saying here, is that everyone internally, we can have our differences as to perhaps why this may have happened or why this should happen this particular way, why we should have gone to arbitration before, and why step B decisions aren't coming as timely as we want. We can argue vigorously amongst one another. But when we have an existential threat, someone outside for their own personal gain or to the detriment of our family, it doesn't matter whether you NLC, APWU, rural carriers, mail handlers, supervisors, managers, postmasters, PCs, we all should say, hold up, no, no, no. We can have our internal fights, but anyone outside of this, trust and believe, we're going to lock arms and we're going to say, you're out of bounds, you're out of line, and you don't want this smoke. Trust me, you don't want the smoke.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's where we should be, brother. And that's where we at. And so I want everyone to know that this, in addition to the rallies that's going to happen on Monday at 1 p.m. on the 23rd, the call to action as it relates to the lunchtime phone calls is not only for letter carriers. We will encourage you to all your coworkers, whether they're clerks or whatever, craft and management, everybody, to do the same, because we are all part of the same postal family. So this is in concert. This is intended to be in aid and in support of all the in support of all the activity and actions that national NLC headquarters have and perhaps will have going forward. So I don't want anyone to think, well, the CLC, BF, I don't care. That doesn't matter. You ask me right now, we NLC. That's what's up. We can do two things at the same time. We can reform and support and stand in solidarity. There's plenty of time for the other things. As of right now, let's fight and get our job done. Let's separate the mission from the man. And our mission is currently to ensure that we get a fair contract for our letter carriers. But above all right now is to ensure the preservation of the Postal Service and our livelihoods. Because without that, there will be no contract. There will be nothing left. And so we need to make sure that we have our parties in perspective.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't agree more. Hell, I went in there and I got my car keys. You talking about they don't want that smoke. I was fixing to drive up to Washington.
Yeah.
They talking about my man talking about they don't want that smoke. I was fixing to drive up here, baby, and be with you. But you got me going there, baby. I was fixing to get in the car, son. I said, we talking about some smoke being given out. I was ready.
Man, dude, shoot. And trust me, they don't want the smoke.
Yeah. No, they don't, brother. Let me tell you, they don't. All right, let's talk about one last thing. You kind of hit on it a little bit, but I know there are a lot of people out there, James, that are absolutely pissed off about this expedited arbitration, about the executive council's vote. They're hot as a firecracker, man. And what's funny is on social media, a lot of people blaming me, blaming the COC, and it's like that dog that you're walking down the street and you see that dog get run over and it's yelping and yapping, and you go over there to help it. And even though you didn't run over it, they're going to bite you anyway. And so even though you're trying to help it, that's kind of what social media was doing the other day, is they're attacking everybody, man. And so, here's my theory is that this thing, if you're worried about Donald Trump, whatever, this thing should have gone to hearing 600 days ago under the Biden administration, if it was done properly. But you have prolonged this thing so much that now here we are. We're under an administration that a lot of people feel are unfriendly to us or have plans for us or whatever. And I'm not political. I'm anti-political, James, because I've always said the union shouldn't endorse anybody. We have to have a seat at the table. And people jump all over me for that, and I don't care. I'll always say that. We want to sit at anybody's table. And they're saying, well, they're anti-union. Well, if the union was the only one that voted for national president, then we'd be in good shape. But we're not. The whole country votes. And so there's a potential for somebody to get in there that may not be friendly to us. And so I believe that we all should have a seat at that table. We should try and strive to have a seat at that table. Now, we need to talk to anybody and everybody about our plight as city letter carriers. And that's why this Wednesday is going to be so important. But, this thing should have been in arbitration 600 days ago. And so the fact that we're here today talking about an expedited arbitration, the executive council's vote, and all those things, to me, it's 100% on this president we have that has prolonged this thing and put us in this situation. So I don't know why they would be mad at anybody other than the one who got us here. If you're complaining about Trump, this thing should have been in front of the Biden administration 600 days ago, and it's not. So if you can say anything about, I don't know what you can talk about as far as the executive council's vote, this expedited arbitration, but that's my theory. I could be wrong, but you've put us in a terrible spot now. And so expedited arbitration probably sounded good because we're getting into this fight. It's going to be a huge fight. Like you said, it's going to be a prolonged fight for our existence. And so expedited arbitration, let's get that out of the way. And if I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. Go ahead.
Here's the deal. You familiar with the term projection?
Yes.
People are projecting their feelings onto anyone that's in front of them at this particular moment, I think. And it's not, I believe, from a place of ill intent. I believe people are just utterly frustrated and so worn out with exercising patience, like you indicated, for 600 days, that they're just voicing and expressing themselves of how they feel wrongly. And it is one of those situations whereby you can say if a woulda, coulda. You know, we are in a time where you may have unfavorable scenarios to choose from. You know, do you walk across um, do you walk across glass, or do you swim the Nile with the alligators? Well, what do you do? Neither one of them are a favorable scenario, but you say, I have to choose one, and which one is going to be the least damaging to me? Which one is going to I can make the best out of a bad situation? If I was saying if I was a strong swimmer and an Olympic swimmer and I only got to swim 20 yards, I might be able to beat that alligator. Or I have some rugged feet, I might be able to walk 20 feet across this glass, whichever one you have. And I know that might not be the best analogy, but what it does illustrate is that there were unfavorable scenarios or options to choose from. And these letter carriers are letter carriers have waited for some resolution on their collective bargaining agreement for approximately 2 years or more. And most of us have been disappointed that that has not occurred within what most people would consider a reasonable time for one reason or another. And so there is this anger that are out there that says, well, if we're doing an expedited arbitration, that we're locked into taking what was rejected. Well, ultimately, the president has the authority to determine what, in fact, is going to be presented in arbitration. They can determine what they want to present, what he wants to present, whether he wants to present all the work rules and the economic package. He can ask for whatever he wants to ask for. None of us have no control over that. That doesn't change whether it's expedited or regular arbitration process. He can ask for whatever it is that he wants to ask for on our behalf. I pray that whatever it is that is presented, whatever decision that he makes is in the best interest of our letter carriers and represents what it is that they believe we should get based on the rejection, overwhelming rejection of that TA. But it is making a best situation, best case scenario out of a bad or unfavorable situation. The options at this particular point in time are not very good. The reality of it is that the Postal Service and the NALC doesn't have a collective bargaining agreement in place. There are those that are saying, hey, I would love to get my back pay. I would love to be able to move on and reload, so to speak, for the next time, because clearly where we at has exhausted a lot of time and energy. What I encourage everyone to do is to make their voices known to the president that this is what we want. We want, if it is that you say, well, we trust your judgment completely, then say, go have at it. Do what it is that you do. If you say we don't want that, just the economic package, let him know. If you say we want, the work rules to be put on there, you say, let him know. There's strategies that the negotiators or the presenters will employ. And like I said, it's up to him. The Constitution gives him the right to make those decisions. But the fact is just this, is that it has been an inordinate amount of time since the negotiations began, and we're here at a point, like I said, we don't need to be squabbling about how the milk got spilled, but how we get it cleaned up. And the expedited process goes before an arbitrator faster, will yield a results to the membership in a faster way. But I want everybody to be clear, is that just because it's expedited does not preclude, like a lot of people think, does not preclude the national president for presenting what he believes is the best interest or making a decision of presenting any and everything that we want.
Well, I know you, brother, and I've known you now. We've talked early and often a bunch. And I know this about you, James. If you're swimming and an alligator's swimming after you, you will look like Jesus running on top of that water to get the hell out of there. I know that about
Man, I tell you, Corey, I wish that there's a whole lot of things that I wish were different, amongst our union, and meaning when I say different, and I don't mean that in a negative sense, I'm talking about that I wish I could look out in the crowd if I'm on an assignment and see smiles on their faces that they say, hey, uh, that's my union. Like you're a father, how you see your son or your daughter, parents see them perform well in the athletic competition or in school, academic competition or whatever, and you have this sense of pride of that's my child, right? You
Yeah.
know, I wish we were not in a situation where people look at the union, the NLC as a whole, sometimes with disdain. I wish they could get back and they would look at that. I'm a proud member of the NLC. Well, I can tell you, despite all that has transpired, I am still a proud member of the NLC. And when I say I separate the man from the mission, our mission is to reform. Mission is to ensure the preservation of this great organization and our livelihoods, meaning the USPS. And so I want to leave off by saying here is that I don't want anyone to be discouraged. I understand that people are annoyed. I understand people are mad. And without any hesitation saying that to a large degree, some of it is justified. I get it. But I need for them to understand that nobody is perfect. Under best circumstances and best intentions, people make bonehead decisions, right? People make mistakes. Where the problem comes in is that when you waddle in them, when you make the same mistakes over and over and over again. And the one thing that everyone needs to know and be confident in at this very, very moment is that there are members of the NALC, the National Association of Letter Carriers, that genuinely care about the letter carriers and that are doing everything that they can to protect the letter carriers, to protect the Postal Service. And so, whether you feel a particular way about a particular individual is really a moot issue at this point. What you need to focus in on is that there are representatives, there are NLC members that are working tirelessly on the behalf of the betterment of the letter carriers and the preservation of the Postal Service in this great union. And you can best believe that. That is not any exaggeration. That is not no wishful thinking. That is a statement of fact. And if anybody that listens to you on a regular basis, Exhibit A, they know that you're working tirelessly on the behalf of the letter carriers. Those that don't know me personally, but have been around me and know, look, I made my bones, but I go down with the ship. Like I said, I am a United States Marine. I will fix bayonets in charge. Failure is not an option. Accomplish the mission. And our mission right now here is to be united and to fight as one unit. One unit. Like I said, and then once we get back, what would happen? I know it's not a pleasant part of our history, but at the turn of the century, earlier part of when we was in World War II, for example, everybody saw the film. You had segregated units. You had minorities and you had non-minorities that were in different units that were fighting. You had women that were not referred to, say, as, for example, as just a regular soldier, but WMs, women Marines, or WACs, and all these. There was an enormous amount of separation within the armed forces. But what they all found in common every single time It's when they were overseas and we were the allies and we're fighting against the actions of evil and all of that other stuff that they would say. When they were overseas, it did not matter if you was from Greenville or you was from Los Angeles or you was from Houston, whether you was black or you was white. You were a United States servicemen and we were down with each other like four flat tires. And that's where we need to be right now. We need to be down with each other like four flat tires. It doesn't matter whether or not you fall in Renfro camp, Carib camp, James Henry camp, Forrest campaign. That doesn't matter right now. We have a common enemy and a common threat. And just like those people that put all kinds of deep-seated beliefs behind themselves to fight the common enemy, we need to put those emotional, deep-seated beliefs about folks not being in our best interest, folks working for their own self-interest. Whether you believe it's true or not has no bearing on the mission at hand. And the mission at hand is to unite and fight, and we'll live to have another day for accountability.
Beautifully said, my man. James, I always appreciate you, brother. Get me fired up. I can't wait till you take over that seat in 26, man. Like I said all along, when the CLC takes back over this thing, the city letter carrier will be proud of their union again. And there's not a doubt in my mind, just from the talks that you and I have had about your game plan, what we're going to do. But I appreciate your brother coming on here and spending part of your Sunday on here, an hour talking to the people. And we're going to get this ship righted, and we will all of us fight this existential threat tomorrow and then Wednesday. And then if we have to keep doing it, we will keep doing it.
I can tell you this, my brother, and I say this with all sincerity, and anybody that can say the no. I'll use your term. I love the city letter carriers. I love the NALC. I have devoted the vast majority of my adult life in service to the letter carriers in this country. And it offends me to no end when someone implies or insinuates any other way. I've seen on, some of the social medias, the other people that, why is James sitting up there smiling, standing next to Renfro and stuff like that? Well, I can assure you it wasn't because he said a great joke. It might have been whatever was going on. Somebody may say something or whatever was happening in there. But whether, again, separating the man from the mission, if Renfro, if our president is standing there and doing what he's supposed to do for the letter carriers, then I applaud it. I applaud anybody that do that. But the one thing that you want to make sure that you understand is that we, meaning me, you, and every other representative, every other member of this NLC, are truly brothers and sisters. And I love each and every one of you. God bless you, my man.
All right, James. Hey, we'll do this again soon, and hopefully some better news the next time you and I talk on here. How's that sound?
Man, I am with you. Absolutely. All right, brother. Be blessed.
All right,
Take care
baby.
now.
We'll see you, my man. Love you, James. See you, buddy.
Likewise.
Bye. All right. I got my brother, Mr. Richie Ray. We look like twins. And we look, if you see us side by side, I mean, we look like, you wouldn't tell us apart. and so I've told y'all know how I feel about Richie Ray. I've been talking about him forever. I've always said, if you look up union in the dictionary, his picture is going to be in there. And when I started this podcast, it was probably a year and a half ago, Richie, you reached out, you're like, give them hell, give them hell. I didn't know you had an accent at the time because you're texting me, and so you call me, you call me, and you're like, "Hey, Quarry, it's Richie Ray." I said, "What in the fuck is a quarry?" So, and but man, I instantly fell in love with you, Richie Ray, because of your passion for our people. Anybody that's got that passion, man, I want to be on their team, and you have it in bucketfuls. And so, since we first talked about a year and a half ago, we've been at several functions, man. It's like running into family when I see you. But you've started a podcast, Hot House with Richie Ray. I want to talk a little bit about that. But most of the time, Richie, you have stepped up to say, "Hey, look here, I'm gonna get in this fight for my city letter carriers, my brothers and sisters, and you're going to run for Region 15 business agent." And we were just before we started this, you and I were talking, and you said, the motherfuckers came knocking at the door, and it
Yeah,
was the wrong house. They came to the wrong fucking house.
they definitely did, brother. They definitely did. They fucked with the wrong crew. They really did. All we
So,
wanted to do was deliver mail and mind our own business. They didn't want that to happen.
so here you have it. You got Richie Ray in full effect. But Hot House with Richie Ray. You started a podcast. I love it. A lot of people are talking about it. I was bitter initially. I was not really angry at you, but bitter because you won the sexiest podcast
I
voice.
don't think I won, Corey. I
I
think
took
you're giving it to me. You're giving it to me. I didn't win.
I took offense. I took offense to that because I think the Southern accent is better.
Yeah,
But
I think so too.
others saw it differently. And I had to call and concede that. That was the hardest phone call I've ever made, but I did it. And so you were gracious. I'm not a good winner. I'm a worse winner than I am a bad loser. I will talk straight shit. It's funny, Richie, when as an advocate, and this is how much shit I talk and the things that I do. And people won't believe me, but I have witnesses, JB and Brian, people that were with me in arbitrations. I was such a shit talker that the night before arbitration, I would call management, labor, my counterpart, and I'd say, "Hey, look here, you got a pen and paper? Yeah. Here's the questions I'm going to ask your witnesses under cross." At like 7 o'clock. And then motherfuckers be up till 1 o'clock in the morning, getting their people ready for those questions. And I would ask them, I wasn't lying to them. I'd ask them those questions that I would call them at 7. I'd be like, "Hey, watch this, JB. Yeah, hey, yeah, it's Corey. You got a pen and paper? Here's the questions I'm going to ask this witness under cross." Just to fuck with
Up all
people.
night, baby. Keep them up all
Yeah,
night.
they'd be up like 1 or 2 in the morning getting them some bitches ready. And it didn't matter. I was going to hand their asses to them. It didn't matter if they knew them or not. But yeah, so anyway, we're two shit talkers. I've listened to you, Hot House and Richie Ray. Like I said, we're brothers from another mother. And I love you to death, man. But talk to me about Hot House, what it's about. How can we find it for those that don't know? And then let's get into Region 15. What is the
Absolutely.
business agent going to look like? The business agent's always going to look like under a Richie Ray regime.
All right. Well, the hot house with Richie Ray is because I'm always in the hot house. I laugh at that all the time. I don't know. I laugh at myself all the time. I'm the only one that's laughing though. But listen, my boy Jeremy, you met him, Corey, out in Brooklyn. He's our new Formal A rep. He took over after I became full-time officer in my branch. He said to me about a year ago or a year and a half ago, "Rich, just put a microphone in front of you and talk. People will listen. Just do it because it's not fair that we're the only ones that get to listen to what you got to say." And I was not, I was a little bit uncomfortable, embarrassed, so to say, not sure. And then it was you and Ron Speakman, believe it or not, that when you guys were talking on your first interview, somehow, some way I came up. I don't know why, how I came up in your interview, but and both of you were like talking about, yeah, get him on a podcast. And you lit up match under my ass, and I did it. And that was
Yeah.
it. You know, Hot House is really just about letting everyone know that there's people out there that love the letter carrier. And it's about that the union is not all Brian Renfro. It's not all this doom that we see in on the workroom floors. The one thing that breaks my heart every day is walking to a station at 8:30 in the morning before their beginning tour, and everyone's eyes just look like they're defeated, and the day
Yeah.
has not even begun.
Yeah.
And it's real. We're not making this shit up. We're not making it up. It's happening. Um, and I have a lot of good friends out there that I know for a fact that they love me, but I'm the face of the union, and they're angry. They're bitter. Okay. And so the podcast is more of us connecting, getting us back together. That's what I'm trying to do. You know, like you are, you're educating, and I'm trying to educate my way too, the style that what was my success, what was my failures. And the Hot House is kind of taking a turn. I'm interviewing people and I'm just going by the hip. I'm just going by whatever is going on here. There's no agenda here other than just letter carriers need to understand we got to stick together, even when it's bad. I told Jeremy the other day, bad times create strong men, and we're creating strong men right now and women. Okay,
Yeah.
and this movement that's rising within the rank and file. I gotta tell you, Corey, I'm getting excited about it. I really
Yeah.
am. We're
Yeah.
still not done yet, man. We're not even close to being done. But you know, even if you voted yes, you voted no for the bottom line is 90,000 plus people showed interest. And I just want to keep it going. I want to keep
Yeah.
the fire going.
Well, it's a movement, Richie. I've been here 32 years. I've never seen anything like it. The city letter carrier has awoken. They've woke up and they're kind of tired of it. And Hot House with Richie Ray, like you said, we're trying to connect with those people, those carriers that feel like, hell, what is it even worth it? Like you say, you come in every day, the carriers look defeated, management is all over us. The union, as is putting things into place that don't help us, they hurt us, and they need somebody to turn to. And here comes Hot House of Richie Ray. He's going to say, "Hey, here's me. I'll be that voice for you. I understand that we're frustrated, but there's hope." And you had my two people, Mallory and Cole, on Badmouth as well.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. And the CCA Corner, which to me is a fantastic new thing to reach
Amazing.
out to CCAs. Yeah. Because it is a movement, Richie, and we're all in it. We're all city letter carriers by heart. I know you are like me. You would have never thought about running for business agent in Region 15. And we're going to
Never.
talk about that in a second, but that is nothing that crossed your radar. Same thing with me, Richie, when I was thinking about, I was so disgruntled with my business agent's office. And I'm like, I can either just constantly bitch about it or I can do something about it. So I was
Yeah.
like, I'll run for MBA. And then had some very good people call me and say, hey, look here, maybe you'd be best suited for director of city delivery. Thought about that and said, yeah, I'll do that. But, as far as business agent, Region 15, I thought for the longest, when the very first time I heard about it, maybe a month before he even talked about it, Richie Ray business agent. I was like, there couldn't be a more perfect fit for a business agent than Richie Ray, and especially Region 15, such an important region. And just your mannerisms, your temperament, your passion, you and I are the same as far as I hate to win. I mean, I hate to lose more than I love to win.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to do everything humanly possible not to lose.
Right.
And so talk to me about Region 15, the business agent's office under Richie Ray? What are we looking for?
Well, we're looking for putting the letter carrier first. Okay.
Yeah.
Our grievance procedure has got to be strong again. It's got to mean something, and the cowardness has got to stop. These pre-arbitrations and bundling up these pre-arbitrations, they got to go. Enough is enough. We need to fight again. We're not fighting. I'll give you an example. Is the bottom line is what the word on the block is. Operations and labor are not working together. And labor says that we're right. This is what our MBA is telling us. Labor is saying that we're right, but they can't control operations. So what we need to do is try to settle everything at the lowest level. Fuck you. I mean, listen, no disrespect. I mean, look, I love my MBA. He's a great man. Don't get me wrong. But this shit about us going on our knees because management can't figure it out. Let's take this to arbitration. What we saving money for?
Yeah.
We got money for 4 rap sessions for a TA. We don't got money for arbitration, Corey.
Yeah.
We're bringing the fight back. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't ask for this. You did not ask for this. This came to our doorstep. I was happy in my little world. I was happy. They wanted to bring it here. Okay. And Region 15 is not going to be noise. It's going to be action. I'm so done of talking. I tell all my stewards, grieve it. Just fucking grieve it. Stop with the conversation. If it's not on paper, it means shit. You're wasting oxygen. They don't give a shit. And bottom line is, Corey, I don't want to hear this shit. Well, what is the grievance going to do? Well, you know what? Right now, you have a point. What is it going to do when we don't got a cease and desist? Well, when I'm Region 15, we are not going to accept nothing without a cease and desist. That's the bottom line, okay? Or we're going to arbitration. And I don't give a shit. And I'm not going to spend tons of money on bullshit. We're spending money where it belongs, okay?
Yeah.
And Corey, I cannot wait for that day. Me and Bill Kriebel have been talking about it. When we win, me and him share a state in New Jersey. We're going to that district together, and we're knocking on their door. And we're going to introduce them ourselves. We're going to say, hey, there's a new sheriff in town. Just want you to know. I want you to see. Take a look at my fucking face, okay? And laugh all you want seeing this short little guy. I bite really hard. So come on, baby. Let's do this.
I love that you said that about ops. Ops support runs the post office. Everybody knows that. Ops runs the post office. They're the ones that come up with these crazy ass ideas. All the stupid shit you hear about, metrics and all that. Ops is the one who comes up with all that. So they're telling labor exactly what they're going to do. Richie, since when did the Postal Service tell the union what to do? It's the craziest shit I've ever heard. We control the grievance. It's our grievance. We control it. You cannot tell me what to put on that grievance. You can't tell me how to resolve that grievance. But that's exactly what's going on. Like you just said, with your business saying, well, ops is telling labor what to do, so hell, we got to concede. Bullshit. It's our grievance. We control it the entire way. We control if it goes up to the next step to the formal. We control if it goes up to the next step to the DRT. We control whether it goes to the business agent's office under impasse, and we control whether it goes to arbitration or not. Management has no say-so whatsoever in that.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But you know what? They do now. And that's the problem. And when I first started being a steward, listen, I started being a steward, I think I passed my probation. It's funny. I was a PTF. I passed my probation, and on day 93, they tried to give me a notice removal. Why the fuck did you make me pass probation if you want to try to fire me? I did not know. I don't understand. That just boggled my mind. You guys just said I was doing awesome. What the fuck just happened? Because I answered you back? You gave me a stupid order. I answered you back. I called you a jerk off because you're a jerk off. So you give me a removal. And then I got involved with my shop steward at the time, Jimmy Ritz, out in Branch 380 in Trenton, New Jersey. He says, yo, like to fight you. You got to get involved. And I got involved because I saw what they could do. It just didn't
Yeah.
make sense. They hire you to fire you.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's what
Yeah.
my experience was my first 95 days on the job. So I've been involved in this forever. And but one thing, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I'll never forget my mentor, Paul Alexander, Branch 99 president before I became president. He said to me, whenever you file a grievance, remember something. We are already lost. And you said this before. I think you said it in a different way, but it's the same concept. We are already lost. When you're grieving something, they're doing it. So
Yeah.
the only thing that can happen is we win.
Yeah.
That's it. We're already
Yeah.
lost. What the hell are
Yeah.
you afraid of?
Exactly. If they're already doing it and you grieve it and lose, they're already doing it.
Right.
You didn't
All we
lose
got
anything.
to do is
That's like certifieds in the DPS. Now we know now that Brian bargained that away because of this reduction in fixed office time.
well, let me
We
correct you there, Corey. Not to cut you off, but I just want you to
no,
understand. Brian must have said that we misunderstood him about 85 times last night. So I think you misunderstood that one. All right.
I,
Just trying to
it's a
say, I think we're misunderstanding everything, Corey.
it's a
Because we're
it's a
just stupid.
possibility.
We're very
It's a
stupid.
I am old. I am old now, Richie. I'm 55, so my hearing may not be as good as it used. I know that he said that it was not. He told us it was historic. Maybe you heard that. I heard it, and then when we came out and said, you said it's going to be historic. I never said that. You're like, what? It's on audio.
Well,
You're
he's
saying
fighting
it.
like hell now, Corey. He's fighting like hell now. We're the
Well,
ones that were in the streets. And where the fuck was he? Okay. We were in the streets. All right. But he's
brother.
fighting like hell. Look, I'm not here to bash anyone. I'm just calling it for what it is. The reality is the reality. Bottom line
Yeah.
is letter carriers got to come first. Like
Yes.
me, hate me, I don't give a shit. Bottom line is letter carriers are coming first. And enough is enough. What I mean that look, Corey, I don't know if you know this, but this is something that's very important. In Staten Island, we had 4 trucks that got broken into, LOVs. Okay. And in Staten Island, we have the 120 precinct, the 121, the 123, and I think I said the 120. Okay. The truck got broken into in the 121 precinct. They stole the girl's pocketbook with her keys and license in her pocketbook. Okay. They went back to the station where the cars are parked, and they must have hit the button of her vehicle keys, and they took her car. This happened at 1:15 p.m. Okay. Because the pocketbook was stolen at the 121 precinct in their territory, the 120 says, oh no, this doesn't belong to us. Okay. Then when the supervisor got involved around 3 p.m., they finally realized, oh, this is the post office. It belongs to the postal inspectors. We can't touch this. And the postal inspectors had to demand them to get involved. Corey, they did not do anything until 8:30 at night when the car has been gone for over 5-6 hours. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. This is what we're dealing with. Okay. And I had a manager that was there complaining, oh man, I've been here since 4 o'clock in the morning. I don't give a fuck. This girl's not going home. I'm sorry. You passed your bedtime. I'm sitting there, Corey. Listen, this is what we're dealing with. And my point is this: where the fuck is our national union? Where is it?
Yeah.
Where is it? Where's the anger from the national? Why is it the shop steward screaming? Why isn't you screaming?
Yeah. Well, Richie, I say it and I'll continue to say it until I retire. You got to you said it earlier, you got to put the city letter carrier first. You got to love the city letter carrier.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about that unbridled, passionate love affair with the city letter carrier. If you had that at the top, Richie, at the very top, all the way, that would trickle down to the floor. And, you've got it. I've got it. James Henry has it in abundance, but you've got to love the city letter carrier. And if you do that, you will always succeed, even if you lose,
Yeah.
because the city letter carrier will know that. And that's what you're talking about. When you talk, it's obvious your passion for the city letter carrier, your love for the city letter carrier. Your people under Region 15 will quickly see that. Whoever don't know you, they'll quickly see that. And if you're driven by that passion, if you're driven by that love, Richie, the carriers will forgive a lot of shit. We're carriers. I'm a carrier. I'm going to be delivering tomorrow. And so they will forgive a lot of shit if they know that you're in that fight, you're in the street, you're raising hell for them. You talking earlier about the cease and desist. I think it's killed us over the last 3 or 4 years that we've gotten duped into getting away from that language. The will comply, shall comply. If you listen to me, you hear me talk about that all the time. You and I were talking about that before we started this. The cease and desist. Management has convinced us that will comply, shall comply is the same thing. I think it's funny because there's this letter somebody sent me from National, and it was to a gentleman that was making excessive phone calls. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't.
Well, this gentleman's making excessive phone calls up there to Renfro and to others, like 100 phone calls a day. And so they sent him this letter and they said, this is your official notice to cease and desist these actions.
Oh,
And so I'm thinking, hang on
they
just a
could
second.
use it, I guess. Yeah.
Hang on just a second. National's going to send somebody a letter saying this is your official notice to cease and desist. Why didn't y'all put this as your official notice to strongly comply, or you will comply? You
Wow.
must comply. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
It's
It's
rules for thee, but
amazing.
not for me. But until the city letter carrier comes first, and not the NALC as is, not the hierarchy, that will give you a cease and desist, but you're not going to get one in the grievance procedure because, that's taking up money. They're threatening arbitration. Yes. Let's go. Let's go. I'll go to arbitration tomorrow. I don't care. But yeah, that's one of the things you're talking about is in Region 15. We're going to get back to the cease and desist. The grievance is ours. We're not
Yes.
going to consider anything less than that.
Gonna
You know,
teach. Gonna
yeah,
teach.
yeah, education,
Yep.
education. And I'll be working hand in hand with you as director of city delivery on
I
that.
can't wait for that, Corey. I
Yeah,
can't wait for that. Yeah.
we talked about that. I'll be hand in hand with you as far as because training is part of under my pure purview, and so just getting those things, man, we'll have the most educated Region 15 there's ever been. That's a passion of yours when we were talking. And so, education, talk to me about it.
Corey, this is what I want. I don't want this to be Region 15. I want this to be NLC.
Yeah,
Okay. I want this to be one. I want us to be transparent. I want to continue the podcast on my free time. I want to continue it. Maybe even start something with Region 15 itself to give, updates what's going on. Because
perfect.
listen, all fairness, brothers and sisters out there, remember something. If you don't tell me what's going on, I'm not going to know about it. Okay. I need to know in order to fix it. All right. And that
Yeah,
goes for my own branch too. If I don't know, then I don't know. But please
yeah,
tell me, you see something, say something. Okay. And I want to be transparent. I want my RAAs to be known by face, not by name. I want us to be out there. We're not going to hide in our offices. It's snowing today. Boo hoo hoo. We could go visit a station. These guys got to report to work, right? So we could
yeah,
show up to a station. What we do that? We have to wipe off our windshields. Okay.
yeah,
We'll be out there. Okay. The bottom line is that I just want I want Region 15 to be what my shop floor was when I was a shop steward. I knew everything that was happening in all four corners. Okay.
yes,
I know Region 15 is big. I get it. I get it. I don't know how I'm going to know every little shit out there. I don't know. But if you don't tell me, I'm definitely not going to know. Okay.
yeah,
I want to know, and I want my shop stewards to know what they have to do. And Corey, I want to train the letter carriers too. What good is it having 10 great shop stewards when there's letter carriers that don't know shit? Okay.
yes,
what
that
good
don't
is
know what
that?
a grievance is. Yeah, that don't know what a grievance is.
Right.
Because the shop steward's only going to know as much as you tell them, just like you're saying as MBA. If management's telling me to do something and I never come to the steward, he's not going to know. She's
Right.
not going to know. As business agent, a lot of people that message me, Richie, and probably you too, they'll be like, I told my branch president that this is going on. I've got nothing, there's been no remedy to it and all this. And I'm like, did you tell your business agent? Well, no. That's what you're just talking about. You've got to let me know. There's that avenue that you're going to create, Richie, to, like you said, if you're going to have to do something separate than Hot House, if you're going to do a Region 15 Zoom or a Region 15 podcast or whatever, an avenue for the city letter carrier to say, business agent Richie Ray, this is going on in my station and it is not getting fixed. That way, Richie can say, I got you.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's take a peek at it. Let's take a
Yeah.
peek.
Yeah, and I want to put together my troubleshoot teams, like you want to have a troubleshoot team on a nationwide, right? And I
Yes.
want that too. I want to put my joint statement and mutual respect and safety and health team together. And I want heavy hitters. I want doers. Okay.
Yes.
And listen, if you're going to be a fighter and you're going to be a doer, then you got room next to me. We'll figure it out. Okay. But I don't care how big your branch is. If you're not doing it, you're not entitled to anything. You
Yeah.
got to be a doer. All right.
Yeah.
Enough with this. I don't care if you're my friend. If you don't do your job, you're not going to get a job with me in the MBA office. We could have a beer off the clock. That's fine. But we got to get the job done. This is not about friendship. This is about getting the job done. Listen, Corey, the one thing that breaks my heart is I'm telling you, in New York, and I'm sure you're getting it everywhere around the country, but I see it firsthand. John Cruz, we had to get the membership to approve to put in a shower in the Union Hall because we have carriers sleeping in the cars.
Yeah.
And listen, I'm living paycheck to paycheck too.
Yeah.
And I can't help them. Going home at night knowing that one of my brothers and sisters are in the car in the cold weather, that breaks my heart, Corey.
Yeah.
That breaks my
Yeah.
heart. I don't know what to do. I would
Yeah.
love to bring them home. I think my wife would kill me if I did that. But but I don't know what to do, and it's breaking my heart. And this is
Yeah.
not cool, man. It's
Yeah. Yeah. Richie, you're talking about what we can control. We can't control that. We're hoping that this arbitration goes well. Don't even get me started on that. But what we can control, Richie, and you said this earlier, we can control that workroom floor,
yes.
the environment on the workroom floor. You're talking about your teams you're putting together. We will bring the full force of my position and you on whoever we need to. If we have those, because management, they don't police themselves. They love those managers that are going to come in there and kick the shit out of the city letter carrier because it's about their numbers. And if anybody's making those numbers, they don't care how they're doing it. They can falsify things. They can come in there and berate us, cause a toxic working environment on us. As long as those numbers are good, they don't give a shit.
They don't give a
We're the
shit.
ones, we're the ones who have to give a shit, and we will.
Yeah.
We will give a shit.
And we do. We
Yes,
do. And I'll tell you right now, Branch 41 merge, we do about up to 4,000 grievances a year. Okay. And my shop stewards, and I gotta tell you, my shop stewards in Staten Island and Brooklyn, they're monsters. They do their shit, but they are overwhelmed and they're tired. We need more people to get involved. We really do.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you right now, we are going to take care of business. And you know what? Before the merge, these district merges they did. We used to be tri-borough here, and now we're New York one. They merged all the districts. We used to have a quarterly meeting with the district manager. We don't do that no more. That shit's coming back when I become MBA. I'm calling for a fucking meeting every week. I don't give a shit. Okay. And those minutes, we're going to record them. And Corey, they're going in the grievance files.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
They're going in agreement. We are we're gonna play due process, but we're gonna do due process. Okay.
Yes.
Safety committees are coming back, people. They're
Yeah.
coming back. We're gonna
Yeah.
hold management to their own rules. Okay.
Yes.
They think we don't know shit about Publication 108. I got news for you. Everyone's gonna know about Publication 108 when I get fucking done. Okay.
Yeah.
We are gonna take care of this. And my next goal as MBA is I'm going to make better leaders than me. I'm going to have someone that could come in after me. If I die tomorrow, this place is not going to be left uncontrolled. We're going to have someone that could take my place immediately. That's
Yes.
my goal. Okay. And that's for all of us. And branch presidents, I'm telling you, I'm not fucking playing. We got to take care of our membership. People are not going to call the MBA office and they're going to get a ringtone. Okay. They're
Yeah.
going to get someone to answer the phone and they're going to get a return call. Okay.
Yeah.
And we're going to get every complaint's going to be answered. You know,
Yeah.
I know that's a big promise, but it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Okay. Bottom
Oh, no
line,
doubt.
yeah, it's going to happen. Or
Yeah.
Corey's going to beat the shit out of me.
No.
Because
I don't.
he already put the FBAs on notice. If we're doing our job, he's going to make sure we know about it. So, you know what I mean? Before James Henry beats the shit out of us, all right? So the bottom line is we're all going to be held accountable, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
because I'm going to do my job. That's why I'm
Yeah.
okay with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Richie, I was talking the other day on an episode about consequence. We have to be that consequence to management. And when you say the district managers, they're going to know me, they're going to know my face. I'm going to sit in their office. We're going to have minutes and we're going to hold them accountable. The consequence, if they don't do exactly what we talked about in that room, is you're going to be sitting in arbitration answering for those things. Because I was specifically in this meeting, Mr. Arbitrator, these are my minutes to the meeting. And this is what I told the district manager, going to be talking to him next when he comes in here. And this is what we talked about. And he gave me these assurances. And here we have 16 grievances later on the same manager, the same supervisor, and everything ever written, joint statement, hostile working environments, all these things here says there's a commitment from them, those people that are going to come in here next, there's a commitment from them to us that this is how they're going to be. There's going to be no tolerance of these things that have been going on over and over and over again. And here's his signature right here, Mr. Arbitrator, where he said, that he's going to make sure that these things are corrected. And so that's a beautiful thing, Richie. I'm going to have these minutes and they're going in grievance files. And then we'll see you later down the road if it doesn't get fixed. And that's what's so beautiful about you, Richie, is because, I've seen it firsthand getting in that ass and, that fire plug. And so, dude, I can't wait. I can't wait. I mean, it's, you know what I'm saying? I'm jonesing to get in there, to start ripping shit up. And to have you talk about Bill Kriebel, a fucking savage.
Oh my God, I love him. I love him. He's
You
crazy, but I love him so much. And he's ready to fight too. He's like, dude, I'm going to kick shit down. I'm kicking it down. I'm going, all right, Bill, we're not going to kick nothing. Okay, we're going to walk in. Oh, but I want to kick. No. Bill, we want to last for 4 years, buddy. We don't want to go in jail for 4 years. Okay.
Shut the door, Bill. The car's going 55 miles an hour. Shut the door. Get back in here.
Corey, I am. Listen. I got to say something. Okay. The NALC to me was my second chance in my life. I was a bad kid. I was a bad kid. I hated everybody. My father was a piece of shit. Okay. My mother, she did what she could, but I took it out on her like every stupid kid. I regretted that for a very long time. But, I made up I made it up to her, but, it was not fair to her. But I was an angry kid. The NALC gave me a lifeline. Okay. This job gave me a lifeline. I love the post office and I love the NALC. And it gave me a purpose. Corey, the NALC gave me a purpose. I feel worthy being a shop steward, being a representative, being the agent for my people, being their voice, getting rid of the bullying. I get a lot of pleasure walking into a building and seeing the supervisors behave. And gang carriers coming up to me, oh man, you see the way they're acting right now? That's because you're here. That's because you're here. They never act like that. Okay, they call me Mr. Ray. Come on, you know they're not calling me Mr. As soon as I walk out the door, I'm a little jerk off. Okay, but the bottom line is, I have to pay it forward. I owe it to the NALC. I owe it to the membership that gave me this family. Okay, and I owe it to them to make sure there's another Richie Ray out there that's going to be better than Richie Ray and better than
Yeah.
Corey Walton and
Yeah.
better than James Henry. That's our
Yeah.
job right now. And I think
Yeah.
I think we're gonna accomplish that. I'm not saying it's gonna be easy, Corey. I know it's not gonna be easy, but I know me and you are gonna be smiling we're gonna have no problem fighting. We're gonna be for listen, I can't wait for that arbitration
We're,
and being that
we're,
witness.
we're gonna be we're gonna be looking for fights. Surely everything's not calm. We can go fight somewhere. You know what I'm saying? And so
There's an idiot somewhere. Trust me,
yeah,
there's an
but
idiot. There's a
Richie,
Rambo somewhere.
you talked about your life, but your whole life has led you here to where you are now, as far as everything that you've learned, good or bad. Your life, the circumstances, good or bad, has prepared you. There's nobody to me more ready than you. And just because, from me knowing you, from us talking all these times, nobody more ready to sit in that seat where you're not going to be sitting in the seat. You said you're going to be out in the field, but
Absolutely.
to,
Absolutely.
to have that title as business agent than you, because everything you've ever done, your whole life has led you here. You said this is not something you're like, hey, James, can I please be the business agent Region 15? It's the last, you and I were talking before you get on here. It's the last thing you ever thought of.
I never thought about it. Me and Bill were
Yeah.
talking about it. Me and Bill were
Yeah.
talking about it. We were like, yo, my first CLC meeting, that I was there. And Corey, I'm sitting there like, I had to take myself off video because I'm like, oh my God, I took a picture. I'm gonna frame that shit and I'm gonna put it up on the wall. I'm like, I'm in a room with powerhouses. How did this happen? Charlie
I
Miller?
was,
I'm in a meeting with Charlie Miller?
yeah.
With Gooseman? With Corey Walton? James Henry? How the fuck did this happen? And I gotta say something. My president, John Cruz, okay, look, I was a president before I merged, but John Cruz called me up and we had dinner one day. He goes, I need you to be part of my family. He goes, I understand there's only going to be one president, but I still need you part of my family. Okay. So I did it. He was right. We have to be stronger. We were stronger together.
Yeah.
He is the reason why he had confidence in me, and this is why I'm here. I'm here because all of you give me that motivation to do better. You know what I mean? Even when I felt, Corey, you don't realize when I listened to your podcast for the first time and I heard you say, I love you, man, you lit a match. My heart went on fire again.
Yeah.
It really did. It was going out. It was scary. It was going out because it's tough. It does get tough sometimes. It really does. Especially when your own people are, turning on you too. That sucks, But I can live with that now because I know I have an army with me, okay? And I know I can do this. I know we could do this. And that's what we're going to do.
Yeah. Is there a better human than John Cruz?
Let me tell you something.
Seriously, is there not just union person? Is there a better human being than John
Listen,
Cruz?
John Cruz, John Cruz likes to play around a lot about all the stupid things that he did, but he's got a heart of gold. He really does. He's a tough, listen, do not piss him off. Listen to me. Don't piss him off. But he loves you. He gives you tough love. Okay. And let me tell you something. When Magic messes with us, I don't care who you are, union member or not, John Cruz goes right in front of you. He takes the bullet. He takes the bullet. There's nobody better than him. I'm telling you, I see him. I have the privilege of being right next to him every day. It's an amazing experience. It really is.
What a mentor. When you go through your life, I had Lou Drass, Pete Moss, You got Charlie, James, those now that are those mentors to us. But what a mentor you
Yeah.
have in John Cruz. You know, when Richie Ray becomes business agent, all of these outside influences that have influenced you, mentored you along the way, just to have that on your resume, John Cruz.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
what a
It's a
fucking step.
blessing. It's a
You
blessing.
know, yeah, when I first came up to Brooklyn and the very first time, and y'all let me sit in on the union meeting, you know, and he's going off. I'm like, oh shit, oh shit.
Yeah, you talk about the
You know,
executive board meeting. Yeah.
because somebody was, you know, there was a supervisor fucking with somebody,
Right.
and he's, you know, you have all these people in there, and he's like, well, somebody tell me what's, you know, and I'm thinking, oh shit, this dude here, he's
He
for
don't
real.
play. He don't play. He don't
Yeah,
play. You give him a call, he's there tomorrow. He does
yeah.
not play.
Yeah,
You know.
just a great human being, man, too. Just, you know, I love that guy. And but last words, give me some last words on Richie Ray, the man, the myth, the legend.
Listen, I'm just a letter carrier. I don't care about titles. I really don't give a shit about titles. This is about letter carriers. I'm
Yeah,
serious. This is
yeah,
about letter carriers. I want our grievance procedure to mean something. 2012 in Minnesota was my first national convention, and Fred Rolando used to walk around with all the classes that we had at the convention, and I was at that steward training, and he said one thing: the only thing that we have that's so powerful in our contract is our grievance procedure.
yeah,
Somewhere down the line, we lost our way. I don't know where. You know, I'm with Corey. I don't know what happened. Okay. Seriously, I can't even tell you where this all began. I can't. Okay. But it's here. It happened under our noses. And I'm telling you right now, it's not going to happen again. And I'm
yeah,
telling you, once we get in there, we're going to change this shit.
yeah,
Management is not walking all over us again. They're not going to call the NBA office and have a blank check. Oh, we had to pre-op these because the applicants got COVID. Fuck you. Okay. Fuck you. We're not postponing shit. Corey, we
yeah,
got 540 cases that's waiting for arbitration. We only gave 9 dates a month in Region 15.
yeah,
How the fuck are we ever going to hear all these cases? They're
yeah,
forcing us to pre-op them. Okay.
yeah,
That's bullshit. That's going to
yeah.
change.
And we have step forward that address that. Getting more arbitrators, getting all the, you know, that they will just kick that can down the road. We don't use national level arbitration enough either. I don't know why we're so scared of that,
We're
but
scared of grievances, period.
yeah,
How
it's
is that the
money.
vice president
Uh,
never had it pass a decision when he was a DRT member? This
Yeah,
guy, and cease and desist ain't gonna do nothing. So listen, Corey, real quick. If a cease and desist ain't gonna do nothing, then why the fuck can we ask for a cease and desist then? Make me happy and chase me away. If cease and desist doesn't mean shit, then why
yeah,
the fuck are you giving it to me?
yeah, yeah, yeah. But you know, you talk about the power of the 8190. It's the most powerful thing we got. The grievance form. That it controls everything.
Close everything.
Uh, Unfortunately, Richie, you got labor and our union as is that 8190 is money. It's a price tag. They don't want to see it because that's money to them. The grievance procedure is money to them. The union has got to get away from that and understand that the 8190 is a city letter carrier.
That's it.
It's not a price tag. It's a city letter carrier that has come to us, the agent, and said, hey, we need some remedy on this because we're getting fucked with one way or another, Article 8, whatever, opting, anything it is. And the union has got to understand that that is somebody's livelihood we have. It's not our livelihood.
Right.
You know, we're so worried about money, Richie. That's arbitrations are money. You get these pre-arb sessions. And I honestly think that labor has gamed us on that, backing up these grievances. We got 800 grievances pending arbitration. Well, y'all get a team, we'll get a team, and we'll go in there and we do these pre-arb sessions, and then we will settle those for pennies on the dollar. They've gamed us on that.
Yeah.
You know, like you said, when it comes to that, you've got to tell them, fuck off. We're
Yeah.
going to arbitration. We're going to get arbitrators. We're going to start sending these things to arbitration, and we'll just spend all damn day every day of the week in arbitration, until y'all do what's right, until y'all
Corey,
fucking
I
stop.
don't give a shit if they're not showing up. We're going to show up to that date that's on schedule, and we'll let the arbitrator decide if we're going to hear this case with them or without them.
Yeah.
I'll pay that bill because you
Yeah.
know what? I'll follow the fucking grievance to get that money back. Okay.
Yeah.
And we're not going to vacate or amend any arbitration decision again. That ain't
Oh,
going to
God.
happen under this regime. It's so disgusting what's happening out there, and it's happening to us, the fighters, the
Yeah.
ones that are actually putting in. It's really unfair how they're treating us, but brothers and sisters, the ones that are fighting, don't give up. Help is coming.
Yeah.
Just keep it going, because we'll collect all this data. I promise you, we'll collect this data and we'll figure it out. Look, what do you say? We keep receipts, right?
Yeah.
That's what we do, and we'll keep receipts. We'll figure it
Yeah.
out. We're gonna have
Yeah.
great people up there that's gonna figure this out. We'll make this union great again. I am
Yeah.
not worried. I'm not worried.
Educate yourself, educate yourself, educate yourself, because there's a day of reckoning coming, and we're going to need those stewards that are highly educated. Like you stated perfectly, the city letter care is going to be educated under Region 15 Richie Ray regime. The city letter care is going to be educated, and we're not going to concern ourselves with money. We're wasting money so much right now at the NALC. That's a whole nother episode between me
Yeah.
and you.
Yeah.
But that money needs to go to the city letter carriers, to arbitration. And yeah, educate yourself now. Get ready, because there's a day of reckoning coming when we take over this son of a bitch. And we're going to lay out those receipts that we've kept. And and we're going to fuck some shit up, man. I cannot wait,
I
Richie, to
can't
get in
wait,
there with you,
Corey.
brother.
Corey, I'm walking on clouds right now, brother. I can't. I'm so anxious. I just hope I don't give myself a heart attack before we get there.
Yeah, I'll come up there and revive your ass if they tell me that you.
Listen, I'm
Nobody.
ready. I'm
Hey,
ready. And listen, it's going to be a fight, but it's not going to be the Hoffa fight. We're going to take
Yeah.
this. We're going to do this the right way. We're going to
Yeah.
have everything in writing. We're going to have due process. And I'm telling you, we got some good fucking people in Region 15 that's ready to fight with me. And you
Yeah.
know what? We're ready. Management, I hope you guys are listening. Get your shit
are.
in check now. Get your shit in check now, because we're coming. We're
Yeah.
coming. And I don't
We're-
give a fuck about you. I don't care about you. Okay. I care about my letter carrier.
Yeah.
And APWU, if you don't want to get on board, then you're going to be standing in the sidelines watching, because I
Yeah.
don't give a shit. We are coming hard.
Yeah.
Join us.
Yeah.
That's all I got to tell you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Join us.
All right, my brother. Hey, let's do it again.
Absolutely, Corey.
Let's do it again.
I love you, man. I really
Hey,
do.
I love you like you're my brother. I really
love you
do,
too,
Richie.
man. I
And
do.
I appreciate your time, my man. I'll get on Hot House before too long, and we'll chop it up on that one too. Okay.
Yeah, can't wait, brother.
All right, baby. We'll see you,
All
Richie.
right. All right,
Bye,
brother.
bud.
All right, there you have Mr. James Henry and Mr. Richie Ray. Two fantastic individuals. Richie Ray, that dude, man. When I tell you, and you're going to hear by the end of this week who the executive vice president is for the ticket for the CLC. When I tell you that James Henry is collecting savages, that's what I'm talking about. Richie Ray's a perfect example of that. Those that are anxious and willing to get into the ring. And so hope you enjoyed that. Both of those, James Henry answering some questions for you, talking about the day of action, and then Richie Ray, what's it going to be like when he's business agent of Region 15? So some fantastic stuff, right? Some good conversations. And so I'm going to give my 2 cents about everything that's happened. First off, I'm going to give a couple of shout outs that people sent me. And then I'm going to talk about something I've been talking about for a while when I become director of city delivery. I got one that says, hey, Corey, can you give a shout out to Jameson Morris at the Yellow Springs, Ohio post office? He is the one who got me hooked on you. He just turned regular. He's an awesome carrier who takes pride in their job. So Mr. Jameson Morris at the Yellow Springs, Ohio post office, somebody giving you some love. We appreciate you, my man, very much. Says you take pride in your job. We all need to take pride in our jobs, right? All of us. Because you take pride in your job, that's going to help us when we go to Congress, when we get our customers involved, which they will. because they love us. And so you take pride in your job. You do a fantastic job for the people out on our routes. They will come to our defense, and y'all are fixing to see that. You're fixing to see that happen. Here's another one. Can I get a shout out for the Fighting Highlanders at the Highlander Station in Waco, Texas? And absolutely, I like that. Y'all need to get some shirts, and I'll buy one. The Fighting Highlanders at the Highlander Station in Waco, Texas. That's awesome. So yeah, there you go. That's fantastic. And so there's your couple of shout outs. Let's get right into it. You've got the day of action coming up Wednesday. You heard James talk about it. Charlie Miller talked about it. I'm going to talk about it. It has potential to be the biggest thing that we've done for our defense. A lot of people are concerned, and I get it. A lot of people are stressed, and I get it. A lot of people reaching out to me. A lot of people just flailing, just taking shots at everybody because they're pissed. All right? And most of them can't get to Washington tomorrow. I can't. So most of the country, we can't get to Washington, even though we'd like to show support, get up there. But what we can do is Wednesday on our lunch break, we can take the time to call. Tomorrow, the CLC will have up the information. And then Tuesday, we will put out the template. The template that was made, it is fantastic. And it'll have everything you need to say. It's lengthy, so get it, read it to yourself, then call the Congress and senators. They'll have an app on the download so you can put in your zip or your phone number, and it'll tell you who your congressmen are and their phone numbers. We're going to make phone calls. When you get these things, put it up on social media everywhere and ask family members, friends to make those calls for you. They can take 5 minutes out of their day on Wednesday to make phone calls, okay? I do know that at the highest level of every place, every union, EAS, at every level, they are in this with us. They're in it with us. And so the day of action, it's going to be all of us Wednesday, all right? The lunchtime day of action, okay? And so we're going to show out Wednesday. When we talk about this ground roots uprising, the TA was the perfect example of that, how we rose up and defeated that. Wednesday will be no different. And we have a lot of infighting right now, and that's the way it is. We've got a very contentious election coming up next year. So there's a lot of things going on. But Wednesday, we're all going to come together. All of us, every side, every faction. Tomorrow in Washington, we're all going to stand arm in arm together because we have, all of us have the same interest. We got to save the Postal Service. However you feel, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit later, but however you feel, we have a common interest. All of us do, and that's saving the Postal Service, right? These things are going to be done regardless of what happens in Washington. We need to do these things periodically just to let them know, hey, we're here and we're looking, we're paying attention. That's the reason we're going to get everybody we know to make these phone calls Wednesday. I liken it to how we are as a union. There's a lot of different factions going at each other, and that's just the way it is. But one of my favorite movies, and I told y'all I love The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbits. I love those things. And anybody who doesn't watch those or hadn't seen them, I question you, like Cole Billups. He's not watched any of The Hobbits or The Lord of the Rings. I don't see how that's possible. I question him, his seriousness to our union, if he's not watched any of those movies. I watch every New Year's. I watch all of them, from The Hobbit all the way up to Return of the King. So anyway, if you've watched the Hobbit series, the last one, Battle of the Five Armies, you see towards the end of it, and if you haven't watched it, I apologize. I'm going to tell you the end of it. But the dwarves have taken over their home in the mountain. And in that home are all these treasures, gold, all these jewels. Some of those belong to the elves, and they're not giving them to them. So the elves come and they're going to fight the dwarves. And you have humans there as well. The dwarves call their kinfolk to come and help them. So they all start fighting each other. The elves and the dwarves, the humans are kind of sitting back chilling like management. And so everybody's in there fighting each other, killing each other until they have a common enemy show up, the orcs. And they come out of the mountain. They have these worms that eat the mountain and eat these rocks. They make these little tunnels through the mountain. And so the orcs come out. And so the elves and the dwarves have a common enemy. And so they quit fighting each other and they turn their attention to the orcs and start fighting them. The humans get into the fight and they start fighting the orcs as well. That's management, right? They're chilling, watching the elves and the dwarves fight each other. That's the perfect analogy of what's happening here. You have the CLC and all these different factions, right? And we're not happy with the way that our union is being run. We think it's being run into the ground. And I'll say that, I think we have the most incompetent leadership at the two at the top that this union's ever seen, and it's not even close. So we're trying to gain something. We're trying to take back over this union for the city letter carrier. And so you have that faction, the Renfro faction. They're taking shots at us. It's just how it is. This week, starting tomorrow, we have a common foe. Anybody who takes their sights on the Postal Service, right? Whatever that is. Some say, hey, look, dude just came out and said he's going to them, look in the books. Just look at the books. Okay, that's great. If that's all that happens, I'm with you. I think they should look in our books. Some say, hey, it's going to privatize us. Okay, if that's how you feel. All right. He's going to dismantle the Postal Service. All right, if that's how you feel. We all have a common goal tomorrow, and that's to let everybody know we're here. We're paying attention, right? We're going to be arm in arm with management. You probably would have never thought that in your life. But tomorrow, we will be. Wednesday, we will be. APW, mail handlers, they'll be arm in arm with us. Rural carriers, all of them will be arm in arm with us tomorrow. Because we have a common foe. Anybody who talks about doing anything to the Postal Service, right? Regardless of what it is, like I said. His interest may be to get in those books and see why we're so incompetent at the top. I've always said I wish that we would have gotten in those books going to arbitration. That's not going to happen now because they've decided to do it expedited. I've always said spend some millions of dollars, get somebody to look in those books, right? Because there's mismanagement there. If you want to save billions, get in those books and see where it's going. And that will fix it immediately. So if that's what's going to happen, I'm all for it. Let's go. We need to do this anyway. If that's all that's happening. In case it's not, we need to do this. So regardless of what happens, tomorrow they're going to have this rally. Everybody's going to be arm in arm, right? The elves and the dwarves and the humans. Wednesday, all of us, everybody, we're going to be united. We're going to unite. And we're going to handle business Wednesday. We're going to get those templates off of social media. And as soon as anybody gets them, start downloading them on your social media so everybody can see them. Family members, customers. It'll be the single greatest call-in day we've ever had. And that's what's going to happen Wednesday, okay? So we're going to be united. It's just the way it fucking is. It's the way it's got to be. Just to let everybody know we're here, we're watching, okay? We're concerned. We have problems. we don't want people looking at us like they say they're going to. You want to get in them books? That's fine. We agree with that. We need that to happen. We can't say get in those books and then because we don't like somebody saying they're going to get in a book, start raising hell. Get in the books. Figure it out. Fix it, okay? So that will be Wednesday. Like I said, the CLC will come out with something tomorrow, and that will be flooded on social media. So tell everybody at your station, Wednesday or Tuesday night, the templates will come out, maybe coming out tomorrow night with the CLC, I don't know, but the templates will come out, what you need to say. And so that's what's going to happen Wednesday. And we're going to put on a damn show. The city letter carriers, like I said, has stood up. Right? We're not going to sit down. We've got fights ahead of us still, and we're in a fighting mood. The TA got us in a fighting mood, and so we're going to keep fighting. For those that were concerned, for those that were scared, for frightened, stressed, okay, had no idea what can I do. You know, I feel vulnerable, right? I feel helpless right now. This is what you can do. And it will make a difference, I promise you. It will. It'll make a difference, okay? So that's going to be Wednesday. There's another thing. When I tell you about when I get into Director of City Delivery, on day one, I'm going to have those teams ready to go out into the field and go into stations dealing with the toxic working environment. That's my priority. Education is a priority. These grievances are a priority. The backlog of grievances, how our grievance procedure has been bogged down by management. I think that that's intentional. And unfortunately, we have two turds at the top that don't know how to fix it because they've never fixed anything. And so we will fix it. We'll fix it. But one of my top priorities is going after management who has created a toxic working environment for my people. That's a priority. And so what we're going to do is, on from8arbitration.com, I've had numerous people reach out to me wanting to be on those teams. I'm going to have 2 teams in each region, 2 teams of 3. So that's 90 individuals, okay, that are going to be on those teams. And so you got 15 regions, 2 teams per region, 3 persons per team, okay? And so we've already started planning on that. How we're going to deal with that. What I've done is I've gone out and found the one individual who I think is the most adept at doing that, at handling that. And this individual has agreed. If there was one person in the country I would want, it's this individual. And so I contacted them. They have agreed. And so they're going to handle everything, the logistics of it, what stations they're going to go in. The training, we're going to bring them up there immediately once we take over and train these individuals on every aspect of it. I'm talking about going into the station. What gives us the right to go into a station? What article? 17. So we're going to have those things. We're going to educate these teams from the very beginning. How do we get into a station? We're going to have evidence. We're going to have history. We're going to have these things on the managers we're going in on, right? And then we're going to educate them on the case file. What goes in the case file? What has to go in the case file? And we're going to educate each one on each aspect. Who's going to be the informal? Who's going to be the formal? And who's going to be the advocate, right? And these things will be interchangeable. I want experts at every single level, informal, formal, and arbitration. And so that's what's going to happen. It's happening. And I'm telling you, it's happening on day one. I've already got things in place, what we're going to do. If you go to from8arbitration.com, there is an email. It's DOW at from8arbitration.com. DOW at from8arbitration.com. That's dogs of war at from8arbitration.com, because that's exactly what they're going to be. Right? They're going to be those dogs of war that go around this country, and we're going to fix the toxic working environment in this country. It will be fixed. I'm telling you, that's numero uno to me. I'm not going to have my carriers come in and be abused by anyone. There will not be toxic environment on these floors any longer. That will be a priority. Okay? And so if you get on from8arbitration.com, you'll go to DOW at from8arbitration.com, DOW at from8arbitration.com, and put in there your information. Now, that information will not be disseminated to anyone, so your business agents won't know. Nobody will know until after the election, okay? When we have won, then we will start reaching out to you, this individual that I have chosen. the individual I have chosen to head this up for me. And this individual, to me, is the best of the best. He was the only one I thought of. And so, get on there. Tell me what region, contact information, okay? If you have put your name in there, what I want you to do is, I've done JSOV episodes in the past. Go look at those, read those, all the sites we have, all the information we have on there. Get it, read it, listen to those episodes. I want you to be experts when we call you and tell you, hey, you're on these teams. I want you to be experts, okay? Don't be experts afterwards. Have your shit ready, okay? Because we're not fucking around. I want you ready to go day one. And so, but we will have you come up, educate you on everything that you need to be educated on. I would like for you to already have all these things down pat. And so we'll just tell you how things are going to go at the informal. These are the things we're going to do. These are the surveys we're going to hand out. These are the statements we're going to need. Here's the history we have on this individual. The vital few, as I say, from each region. Now, if your region doesn't have any, we're going to send you to other regions, okay? We're going to use you, and you're going to be used a lot. Some of you may go into stations for 1 or 2 days. Some of you may be there a week. So make sure that you're ready for that commitment, okay? If you're not ready for that commitment, please don't sign up, okay? Because we're going to be using you a lot. I'm not fucking around with this. If I make a promise, I'm going to uphold that promise. That's just how I am. I do not fail, and this will not fail. So I've got my person in place. They're going to handle every aspect of it, all the logistics of it, all the training of it, the picking of the individuals. That's what they're going to do. Get on DOW, Dogs of War, DOW at from8arbitration.com, and put in your contact information, what region you're in, okay? Again, that will not be disseminated. Nobody will know. Okay? Nobody will know that you did that until after the election. Okay? And then these individuals will contact you and say, hey, yes, you're on this team. You're coming up to Washington. We're going to do this education, and then we're going to have you all ready to go. We're going to tell you where you're going to go, when you're going to go, and once you get there and tell us what it looks like, how long you're going to stay. Okay? And so, that's going to happen, and that's going to be rolling. I told you on day one, we're going into business, right? It's not going to be months later. It's day one. My brothers and sisters on the workroom floor need to know that we care about them, and we're going to put things in place that are going to protect them. And that's exactly what's going to fucking happen, all right? I'm not fucking around with management any longer. I'll be in a position, the most devastating position I can be in is Director of City Delivery. If you want the full effect of me, Director of City Delivery, that's where I can do the most damage. In no other position can I do the damage I'm fixing to do other than Director of City Delivery, okay? And so James has already told me he's letting me go. Have you ever seen that movie, Unleashed? Have you ever seen that movie Unleashed with Morgan Freeman and Jet Li, where that guy has Jet Li on that collar, and then he'll take the collar out and just sick him on people, and he just devastates the shit out of them, right? Well, I'm Jet Li in that movie. James Henry is going to unleash me onto management, and that's exactly the way it is. Dave Clark unleashed me on management here in Branch 4. Pete Moss unleashed me on management in this region, and we devastated them. James Henry is going to unleash me on management as Director of City Delivery, and I will be devastating to them for 4 straight years, right? Every day, I'm going to be in their ass somewhere. And so, that's going to be unleashed. That's the saga of Corey as Director of City Delivery. We're going to have James Henry unleash me onto management, and I cannot wait. Let's talk about what happened the other day when this article came out that wasn't completely true, okay? It wasn't completely true. And I fought, in all of this, I fought Brian Renfro. Every bit of this, I fought him. And I just do. A lot of people are concerned about the president we have in office right now. And I'll just tell you, and I told this when I was talking about James Henry, when talking to James Henry, I'm not political. I'm anti-political. Okay? People want to say that I pull for this person or that person. You don't know who I pull for because I'm anti-political. I don't believe in it. Some people say, well, we need to vote for pro-labor. That's fine if only the union voted. If only the union voted, then there would always be who we consider a pro-labor president. If the union only voted. The problem is, it's not the union that only votes. America votes. So when you sit there and constantly bash one side, which I think is idiotic, and you have all four of the union leaders in the Postal Service bashing one side, and then you need that one side like we are now, to me, it's kind of stupid. So I'm anti-politics. I don't believe we should endorse anybody. I just don't, because we don't know who's going to win, and we don't know who's going to be in office. And I say we always need a seat at the table. And somebody was on social media the other day blaming the CLC and blaming me for Trump being in office. I'm like, I wish I had that much power. But saying, fuck having a seat at the table. This is what you get when you fuck having a seat at the table. You have people running around scared to fucking death because now we have a president that we've not extended a hand to, and we've been trashing for the last however many years. That's why you don't need to be political. I understand what we are, but we contribute to the Political Action Fund. I do. I think everybody should. And here's another thing. Somebody was bashing me about that, saying, well, hell, we pay all these union dues. Union dues cannot be used for lobbying. It's against the law. We cannot use union dues for lobbying. And so when we say, I pay union dues, that doesn't help. The Political Action Fund is separate from that because we cannot use union dues for lobbying. And so, yes, I contribute $10 a paycheck to the Political Action Fund. You know why? Because they're going to put money in people's hands that support what we're doing, right? We're going to make phone calls and shit to our congressmen and senators Wednesday. We have rallies all over the place for awareness, okay? And so I'm just one of those. I don't think we should endorse anybody. I think that whoever's in office, we need to try to have a seat at the table. That's how I feel. And nothing's going to change my mind. I don't believe that we should endorse anybody. Nobody's going to change my mind. I believe we should put our hand out to whoever's in office, whether you hate their guts or not. You're not going to change my mind. I believe we do not cut off our nose to spite our face. And I think that that's what happens. And so when we have somebody in there that we feel like is against our best interest, I think that it's wise that we've not endorsed anybody, that we can go to them and say, hey, look here, here's the city letter here, here's what we do, here's why we're needed. We need your help, okay? And when we sit there and bash somebody for all these years, just trash the shit out of them like these presidents do, and you go into that table and you say, hey, here's who we are, here's what we need, and we need your help, and they slide the phone over and say, is this you right here saying I'm a piece of shit, I'm a sorry-ass motherfucker and all this here? Is that you that just called me all that shit? Yes, get the fuck out of my office. That's just how I feel. That's how I feel. You can hate me. You can say, fuck Corey, all this stuff here. That's how I feel. Right? I think that we need to have a seat at everybody's table. We need to try to. Okay? So I think that Renfro is to fault for all of this, because if you say that President Trump is in office and he's against us, he's going to privatize us, he's going to dismantle us. Now look at our contract. 600 days ago was under the Biden administration. That's when we should have went to arbitration. 600 days ago. You cannot tell me any different. He had that offer 600 days ago. He delayed that so that we would fall for that shit, so that we could be starved out and have to take that shit. We voted it down, and now we've got into another administration, and everybody's sweating their ass off. Why? Because you have incompetence at the top who delayed that thing for 600 days into an administration that a lot of people feel is anti-labor. So we could have gone into arbitration in 2023, 600 days ago, in the Biden administration, but we did not. Why? Because you've got a child negotiating for us. You've got incompetence negotiating for us. And that's why we're here today. Then you had this thing come out Friday from an article, right? From unnamed sources that on that day, the president is going to sign an executive order to fire everybody and dismantle the Postal Service. So what does Renfro do? He gaslights everybody. He comes out and he says, today, the president's going to sign an executive order. And so now we're going to have to expedite this arbitration. It's the lesser of the two evils. You've got an executive council whose hands are tied now because they know that this clown has fucked us royally on this contract. So they got an executive council that has to weigh, are we going to go to regular arbitration? Because we've got uncertainty now, right? Because we've got an article that was unfounded, but we've got a president who came out and said, yes, I'm going to merge them with the Commerce Department and we're going to see things. So now we have some uncertainty creeping in, right? So do we do it expedited and get this out of the way as fast as possible? Do we delay this thing and go to the full arbitration and you don't know the future of things? And so it played into Renfro's hands perfectly. Is he going to go forward with just the just the financial issues? We don't know. Is he going to come into agreement with the contractual issues? We don't know. He has full authority under the Constitution to do whatever he wants to do, and there's not shit we can do about it except vote his punk ass out in 26. That is his responsibility alone. And all these people on social media, where's the CLC? Where's the Lions? Where's Corey? There's not shit we can do about it because the Constitution gives him full authority to do everything he's fixing to do, and there's nothing we can do about it. Now, the CLC in Boston stood up. We were the only ones that stood up to have the charges heard because Renfro said, you're not going to hear the charges. You're not going to hear the appeal. He was the dictator during all that. And you had some fool on Reddit the other day saying they're wasting, they wasted our time up there at the convention having those charges read. Here's how you don't waste time. You have a president who says, I'm going to be a dictator and I'm not going to let the Supreme Body hear these charges. He does not have that right. So we, the CLC, get up there in Boston and we say, hey, look here, we're appealing that. We're going to hear the charges as the Supreme Body, and he got voted down, okay? Some people held that against the CLC because we wanted the body to vote on these charges. Now, the delegates voted that he's going to stay, and here's what you get. So don't blame the CLC. We try to get this son of a bitch out in Boston. Don't blame us. He's here because of the delegates and the MBAs that got involved with that thing. So nobody needs to crack shit about the CLC. We tried. We stood up at those podiums for 2 hours with our finger on a button so that we could be heard, so that the body could determine the fate, right? Not the dictator. And so you have the incompetence of Renfro delaying this thing into a new administration. It should have been heard in 2023. And when he said we had a better chance at arbitration, now you have this podcast that was had him yesterday, and all of that was lies. He was saying that, we didn't have a good chance back then, and we don't have a good chance now. Thinking this motherfucker can't get out of his own way. He can't get out of his own way. His dishonesty is unlike anything I've ever seen. I've never seen an individual more dishonest than this cat. One of the things that was said on this podcast It's the Next Generation Carriers podcast, okay? Next Generation Carriers podcast. And it's three guys. They do an absolutely fantastic job. So if you're not listening to that, Next Generation Carriers podcast. But they had Renfro on. They're asking him very tough questions, and he failed at all of them. But one guy says, what's your opinion on carriers saying that there should be a $30 starting wage, an all-career workforce, and then a couple of other things? And he says... I completely agree. I completely agree with that. Anybody who doesn't agree with that, we need to take them to a doctor because their mind's not right. Anybody who doesn't agree with that, with a $30 starting wage and an all-career workforce, I completely agree with that. That's what he said. Do you know what the A in TA is? If you have a TA, what does the A stand for? Agreement, right? He agreed that the CCA should still be in effect. So he agreed against an all-career workforce, and he agreed that the starting wage for them should be $20. Now he says, I completely agree with $30 starting wage, if not more. And I agree that there should be an all-career workforce. This dude here, man, is unbelievable, his untruthfulness. But anybody spouting off that it's the CLC and where's the lines and all this shit, look at your president, right? What has Corey done? One person said, I'm tired of hearing this motherfuckering. I'm bored with it. I'm tired of hearing it. When is that going to take effect? Did y'all see the outcome of the TA, the vote? Do you think that was the city letter carrier saying, hey, we're going motherfuckering? I do. I think that was. So anytime the carriers have an opportunity to do that, like the TA, we're going to stand up. But there's nothing we can do until we're in office. There's nothing James Henry can do until he's in office. Why? Because the president has full authority to do everything. He can demote. He can strip you of your responsibilities, which he's done with James Henry and Chris Jackson. He has full authority. So we can tell you that we're going to do rallies. We can tell you that we're going to do these days of action, right? But we're very limited in what we can do because we're not in office yet. That will be next year. So we've got one more year of incompetence. Now we can still have rallies. We can do education and things like that. We can get people prepared for when we take over. But to cast blame on anyone other than Brian is irresponsible. And like I was telling James, people were just all this wailing and gnashing of teeth Friday, blaming everybody. Everybody was at fault, that we're here. It's like, you seeing a dog get hit in the street, and so you go out there to take care of it and say, hey, I'm here to take care of it. It's going to bite the shit out of you, even though you're there to take care of it. Why? Because when a dog gets hit, it just lashes out at anything. And that's how people were doing Friday. They were lashing out at everything. We had, we talk on From A to Arbitration about standing up, about fighting. I've done so many episodes on fighting, on standing up, protecting yourselves, defending yourselves, rising up, taking the flag, all these things that I've talked about on From A to Arbitration about the city letter carriers standing up and rising up. We did it in the TA, which was beautiful. But the first thing that happened, the first sign of trouble, and we fell apart. We fell apart. The second that article came out, we didn't take the time to see if it was real. We didn't take the time to do any kind of research. We immediately burned our own village down. Somebody said, hey, the enemy's coming. And instead of fighting the enemy, we burned our own village down. I do not stress. I do not worry. And that's what I was saying to Charlie and James. I don't know why. I just don't. I don't worry about anything. I don't stress about anything because I think about things. If something comes out, what are we going to do? How are we going to handle this? How are we going to combat it? I don't get on social media and start trashing my brothers and sisters and start tearing them down. Some of these people is like they go running around the house, this motherfucker, president, this son of a bitch. And, your pets are like, what in the fuck is going on with you? Because that was the reaction. And so I'm just not like that. I don't worry about things. I don't stress about anything. I think about things, right? This article came out. James and I immediately start talking to each other, thinking things out, thinking it through. What can we do? Well, we can do a day of action, Wednesday. We can call, which will make a massive difference. We can call. We'll have this rally in Washington. There'll be other rallies across the country. And we're going to see what is the truth. What are the facts? Because they will come out. What are the facts? What are the truth? But until then, we can be preemptive and we can make these phone calls, which we're going to do on Wednesday. Overwhelmingly, we're going to make these phone calls. That's what we can do, because worrying doesn't do anything except hurt you. Stress doesn't do anything except hurt you. What can we do collectively as the city letter carriers to assure people, right? To comfort people, because that's what we're here for, really. What can we do? We can tell them, hey, we're going to take up this mantle ourselves. The city letter carrier is going to take this up ourselves. If anybody wants to join in with us, that's great. But the city letter carriers are going to save our jobs, right? The city letter carrier is taking back over this union next year. That's how it's going to be. The city letter carrier is going to be at the forefront of everything that happens. Every decision that's made from now on is going to be done by the city letter carrier. The TA was the perfect example. Here we're going to have this day of action on Wednesday where the city letter carrier is going to save their jobs. In 2026, the city letter carrier is going to vote the CLC in there so that we can have the city letter carriers put back in front of this thing like it should be. And so I think that Renfro saw an opportunity and he jumped on it. I think that Trump announcement was the biggest gift he's ever been given, because it gave him an excuse to incorporate part of the TA that was voted down and go to an expedited arbitration. He left the executive council with very little choice. It's the lesser of two evils. So you don't have to have briefs, so you don't know what's talked about in there, proposed in there. We'll never know. And they will come out with something, and he can say, I told you so. Again, you have the faction of the Renfro faction coming out, and on Reddit and Discord and other social media things, coming after me, coming after CLC. One thing I can tell you about that is, I told you long ago, is that you can't hurt my feelings. You just can't. One of my favorite sayings is, lions don't concern themselves with the opinion of sheep. And anybody who's on the Renfro side, to me, are sheep. And so as a lion myself, doing lion type shit, I don't concern myself with the opinion of sheep. Because why? Because I'm doing lion type shit. I don't have time to worry about that. People nipping at my heels. Okay? We're concentrating on taking this union back over. And I'm concentrating on what I'm going to do as director of city delivery, already getting things in place. And so little lambs chirping at lions don't concern me, right? Anybody, I've already told you, anybody that runs with Renfro, they're going to lose. In a major way. You got other people talking about coming up with tickets with a slate. It doesn't bother me. If you have 10 slates, it doesn't bother me. The CLC is going to win this thing, okay? One thing we cannot do is anytime something happens, attack each other. We can't do that. We've got to stop that shit. Okay, social media was a disaster when that came out. We've got to stop attacking our brothers and sisters, okay? City letter carriers, we got to stop that. People have the right to vote however they want to vote. And so what are we going to do with what's been put in front of us? How are we going to address it? That's how we need to start acting, okay? If your first instinct was to attack other people, you're wrong, straight up. If your first instinct was to go after your brothers and sisters, you're wrong, straight up. Too many avenues to resolve our ills other than that. We can never resort to attacking our own. We cannot do that. We have avenues. Like I said, we got this rally tomorrow. That will be effective. We've got this day of action, the lunchtime call-in day of action. That's going to be massive. That's going to be massively effective. Okay? So there's avenues for us. We cannot burn our own village down. Any hint of something going on. Okay? This will not be the last time. We'll have to address it. From now on, and I know this is very difficult. This is very difficult. From now on, when something happens, let's stop. Okay? Let's take a deep breath. What is it? What's being said? Let's hang on just a bit and get the facts of it. Okay? Let's get the facts of it, and then let's game plan around it. That way we don't have these knee-jerk reactions where we go around punching everybody in the face and find out later that maybe that's not what we thought it was, okay? Because Renfro immediately came out and said that it was happening that day. And so he gaslit us, and it worked. You know, social media was on fire. And so he was able to do things that he probably wouldn't have normally done because of, you know, something that came out on an article. I think the NALC could do much more. I think that we could do much more. If you knew that this president and this is their line, is that he's trying to privatize us. If that's what you think, we should have been preemptive long ago. We should have these national call-in days quite often to let individuals know, hey, we're here, we're looking, we have voters. And so Congress and Senate, so anything like that comes up, they may say you're going to lose that terribly because there's too many people on the Postal Services side, the city letter carriers side, rural carriers, mail handlers, things like that, too many on their side. But I think the union could do a much better job getting to the public. I would spend however much money it is on commercials. I just would. On every major news network, I'd have a commercial. By city letter carriers for city letter carriers. Don't have to be in uniform, but it can tell our story. You know, it can have us talking, whoever, saying this is who we are. This is what we're about. We receive no tax money. We're not a burden to the taxpayer. We're going to come to your grandparents' house and we're going to give them this medication and have us talking to them. You know, your grandparents may not see anybody all week except us. And have us there talking to them, you know, comforting them. How are you? You know, things like that. So, you know, it shows us with kids, shows us with pets. And so I think that we don't have to be in uniform. We could just be talking and have grandparents talking, you know, about the letter carrier that comes and sees them every day and asks about them, checks in on them, brings in their medication. We could have a very influential commercial that we put out every so often about who we are and what we do. We've got a lot of money and we're stupid with it. We spend it on shit we shouldn't be spending it on. But I think that there should be a commercial that we put out on every news network, however much that's going to cost, and have some of the best people come in and produce it, and have us and have customers talking about us, and have people educating the public on who we are, what we do. Absolutely. We're not a burden to the taxpayer because we receive no tax money. And this is what your city letter carrier does. I think that we should do that. I do. And it would educate the public because the public doesn't know us. They still think that we're run by tax money when we're not. And so when you say we've lost $1 billion or $6 billion, they're like, well, my tax money, there's another thing that's sucking it up. No, it's not. We receive no tax money. We've never had a bailout. We've got a loan, and it'll have us during COVID, during storms, right? During natural disasters. Here we are. Towns are blown down. Here we are delivering your mail. That's how important we are. And I think that the public needs to be reminded of that. Okay, there's a lot of things that we could do right now, to make the public aware of us. That's not. These days of action, another great thing. Wednesday's going to be a great thing. But we need to go on the offensive. I've always said that. We don't need to be reactionary. We need to be on the offensive. Do this anyway, regardless. Do it. If you think you got somebody in office that hates us, start doing it. Start putting it out there preemptively. do it. And we do a piss poor job. We spend money on stupid shit. We got people that work up there that need to be fired that waste our money. And so, that's what I think we should do. I think that we need to settle down and realize that, look, everything's going to be okay. I'll say that. Everything's going to be okay. People ask me about privatization. I don't think it's going to happen. I just don't. People are like, this is the plan. This has always been the plan. I don't think it's happening. I just don't. I've talked about it before. I don't think it'll happen in my lifetime. And I'll go on and say it. I could be proven wrong. People call me a fool. I don't think it's happening. I just don't. We're not profitable. We're not meant to make a profit. They're going to hand them over to Amazon. Why? They don't want us. What are they going to do? Deliver letters? Amazon? Hell, they don't even deliver all their packages. They give them to us. Now they're going to take on the single greatest delivery unit in the world, the United States Postal Service. You think that clown wants that? We're mandated. Unless you take that mandate, you think Congress is going to do that? They're going to take that mandate to have every single person get mail? You have people talking about they're going to reduce it to 3 days. Really? You think that these elderly people, they're going to let that happen to them? The medications they have, just going to have 3 days? I mean, we got to think about this shit. But we can be preemptive. We can be out in the streets. We can be making our phone calls. I think the commercial would be devastating to anybody trying to fuck with us. Who we are, educating the people. There's a lot of shit we can do that we don't do, except scream and cry. And woe is me. Like your president was the other day. How embarrassing. You need to unite us, settle us down, calm us down, rather than gaslighting us. We're here because of you. It should have been done 600 days ago under a Biden administration who was pro-labor, right? Should have been done 2 years ago, but here we are because you drug your feet, and now we're in a predicament. But again, like I said, the predicament benefited him because now he can blame this administration for his shortcomings, for his incompetence, for his stupidity. Like I was telling Charlie, if this administration wants to come in and check those books, have at it, right? If they want to come in and say, why are y'all run so incompetently? Let's take a peek at that. Have at it. We've been saying that. We've been saying that forever. If Biden would have come in and said, I'm going to put y'all in with the Commerce Department. Let's take a peek at what y'all got going on. Let's see why the incompetence, right? Would there be the same reaction? I think that maybe because it's Republican run and you have fears of privatization, fears of abolishing the Postal Service, we have a different reaction, right? And so I've always said, take a peek at our books. Look at them. I think the union should have done it in our contract negotiations. Look at those books. And so now it looks like somebody's finally going to look in those books. And that's wonderful, as long as it stops there. As long as it stops there. You want to make changes? That's fine. You want to do away with about 30 or 45% of management? Have at it. We don't need them. They need to be gone. But if you go further than that, we need this day of action, right? That's preemptive. We need this day of action to let Congress know we're paying attention, okay? So, again, I don't stress, I don't worry. And people are pissed at me because I don't. I mean pissed that I wasn't worrying and I wasn't losing my shit. Like I said, stress has never paid a bill of mine, and worry hasn't either. All it does is cause ulcers, and I'm too old for that, okay? We will always stop and take a peek, see what's going on, make a game plan of it. People are looking to us. I get it. I get it. James Henry and I were on the phone immediately when it came out. Not overreacting, not losing our shit. We didn't, he didn't call me screaming. I didn't call him screaming. What the fuck are we going to do? I didn't do that. We called each other and said, hey, have you seen this? Yeah, let's game plan a little bit and see what's going on. He wanted to use the From Aid arbitration community. I said, have at it, brother. We'll do it jointly. CLC and the From Aid arbitration community. Going to do a day of action, right? Just in case shit goes sideways, we'll be ready. And that's how we have to be as city letter carriers, okay? Look, I'm going to do everything I can to protect you. I'm going to do everything I can to protect you. We haven't gone anywhere. We didn't run. We didn't hide. You know, we were game planning. Immediately we were game planning. I will never let anything happen to y'all. I will be in the front of the line fighting. I will never be in the back. You won't have to turn around and look for me. I'll be in the front of this thing. James Henry was in the front of this thing. You know, like I said, we immediately called each other. Did you check that out? Yeah. And he's like, let's take a deep breath and let's see what's going on with this thing. But just in case it goes sideways, let's get something going. And we came up with a day of action. Calling your Congress and senators. That's the least we can do, but it'll be the most we can do. Okay? And so I will never forsake you. I will never run from you. Man, we will be in the front of this line. We just will. But as the city letter carrier, we need to remember that we have that fighting spirit. We cannot give in to despair. We cannot. Don't give in to despair. We will game plan around this thing. We will take actions into our own hands like we're going to do Wednesday. And then if something needs to happen after that, we will do that as well. Okay? So for those of y'all who are stressed out, who are worried to death, hey, I got you. I got you. Okay? I promise you that. James Henry's got you. We talked a long, long time Friday. Man, we talked a long time getting shit together because we love the city letter carrier. I hated seeing people upset like that. You know, I hated seeing people trashing the CLC and me, you know. I hated that, but people were so upset that that's where they chose to go. I don't like seeing my brothers and sisters upset and distressed. That's the reason I said one of the first things we're going to do is attack the toxic working environment because I hate seeing my people stressed. I don't get stressed. I don't get worried. But that doesn't mean that I don't care for those who do. I get it. I promise you I do. But we've been around here a long, long time, 200-something years we've been around here. I'm not going to jump because somebody said boo. I'm just not. We will game plan around it. And that's what we did. And so I hope I wasn't just rambling for an hour, but I kind of wanted to tell you where I was at with all this. A lot of shit going on, man. I was on social media all damn day. On Reddit, on Discord, on both of my Facebook pages, answering questions, taking shots from people. It was wild as hell, man. And so Charlie wanted to come on Saturday, and he did a fantastic job. James wanted to come on today, and he did a fantastic job. But at the end of the day, man, look here. We're all we've got. We're all we've got as city letter carriers. Okay? I'm talking to city letter carriers. We're all we've got. We are the ultimate family. We're the ultimate melting pot. Republicans, Democrats, Independents, we're all in this same melting pot. Every race and creed is in this same melting pot, okay? And so we can never look at each other as the enemy. We just can't do it. We just can't do it. We have got to stand up together, united as one body, okay? We can't have this over here standing up, these over here not paying attention, these over here don't give a shit. We have got to stand up as one body. And if there's an existential threat, right, valid or not, if we perceive it as an existential threat, then we will face that head on. That's what we always talk about. We will get in the streets with anybody. We just will. And as city letter carriers, that's how we have to approach things. We cannot approach things with cowardice, with fear, with stress, with worry. We've got to understand that this is how we're going to handle things from now on. When there's a threat to us, a perceived threat, either right or wrong, valid or not, if it's a perceived threat, what we will do as a family is we will stand up together as one, all of us, Republicans, Democrats, Independents, right? All of us will stand up together and we will say, here's what we need to do, and this is how we're going to protect ourselves. We're going to circle those wagons, right? And this is how we're going to protect ourselves. And that's why I don't worry. That's why I don't stress. That doesn't help anything. This wailing and gnashing of teeth that happened Friday, that didn't help anything. It hurt, matter of fact. It hurt your brothers and sisters. Okay? A lot of shots being fired back and forth. We can never do that. We can never resort to that if we're going to be successful like I hope we are. Right? When we take over in 26, we've got to understand that unity. Okay? And we will. We will. Look, man, I love each and every one of y'all. Whether you like me or not, I love you. Because why? Because you're in my family. Okay? There are people in my family who don't like me. They're still in my family. I love them. And I love each and every one of you. I don't want to see you hurting. I don't want to see you stressing. I don't want to see you worrying. Okay? I'm going to do everything humanly possible to protect you, to help you. And this is what we're going to do Wednesday. We're going to help ourselves. We're going to stand up, okay? So for those of y'all who are truly stressed, I've got you. For those of you who are truly worried, I've got you, okay? We're going to do this Day of Action Wednesday, and we're all going to participate as one family, all of us. The CLC will have their thing out tomorrow, and so the templates may be out tomorrow, but they'll definitely be out by Tuesday. Get them, share them everywhere. Share them to whoever you know. Print them out, give them to your coworkers. Everybody needs this to call in on their lunchtime on this Day of Action, okay? So there you have it. I hope it helped. That's just my 2 cents. That's my 2 cents. I think that as a family, we need to start acting like it and don't turn on each other. And the first hint of something, we don't need to burn our own village down. We need to pause. As hard as that may be, we need to pause. Take a deep breath. Let's see what's going on. Let's get some more facts in this thing. You know, it's like a carrier coming up to you as a shop steward and said, hey, management's told me they're going to give me a 14-day suspension and me turning in an 8190. You know? And manager's like, what's this? Well, the carrier told me that you were going to give him a 14-day suspension. Well, I hadn't given it to him yet. Yeah, but here's the 8190. Well, you know, that's kind of where we were at Friday. You have an article by, anytime there's unnamed sources, I don't believe shit. But you had an article come out and we turned in the 8190. We started losing our shit. Let's collect some information first. Let's see kind of where we're at with it. But there's nothing wrong with coming in here Wednesday and having this Day of Action, okay? But from now on, let's just take a deep breath. Let's let shit play out just a little bit, okay? We should never worry and we should never stress because it helps nothing, it hurts us, but we will stand up together, all of us, and we will fight for what's right, okay? We will save ourselves, and that's what's going to happen Wednesday. We will save ourselves. Mark my word. We will save ourselves, okay? So there you have it. James Henry, Richie Ray, my 2 cents. Hopefully that helped you. Maybe it didn't. Maybe I was rambling. But anyway, I love each and every one of y'all very much. I love you so very much, right? And I hate to see my people hurting. I really do. I really do. And so I'll be here for you, man. I'll be here for you. And standing in the front. Standing in the front. Sunday, we'll be back. I'm going to talk about another template that I got offline, which is very good about load times. And then we'll talk about some other things. But until then, hold your head up. Hold your head up, brothers and sisters. Hold your head up, okay? We're going to stand in this fight together, right? We're going to stand in this fight together, shoulder to shoulder, like I said, hand in hand, arm in arm. That's how we're going to do as the city letter carrier. And we're going to win this thing together. Wednesday, Day of Action. Plan on it. Plan on it. CLC will have the thing come out tomorrow. The template will come out for you. Get the numbers from Congress and Senate. Wednesday. Everybody at the highest level is in on this, of every facet of the Postal Service. Management, all these other unions at the highest level know about Wednesday. Trust me. At the highest levels, headquarters levels, they know about Wednesday, what we're fixing to do, okay? And they're cheering for us because we're saving their jobs. We're saving their jobs potentially and ours. So that's how important Wednesday is. So get it out there, put it everywhere. Wednesday's the day of action. Those of you who are worried and stressed, this is how you can help yourself, okay? Those of you who feel like, hey, where do I go? What do I do? How can I help? This is how you do those things Wednesday, okay? So I'll talk to y'all Sunday. Y'all have a fantastic rest of the week. I love each and every one of you, man. I'm here for you, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.